Chapter 1335. Big Brother, Little Marshall is undergoing the tribulation in the secret realm. Sue brought Merciless West to the small pool of spiritual liquid. Merciless West looked at a little fatty who was sleeping soundly with something covering his body. His chubby body was emitting a mysterious glow. The white mist around the pool of spiritual liquid covered his small body, making him look extremely pure and holy. "This is Little Marshall?" Merciless West was shocked. Yes, Little Marshall has passed the tribulation and successfully reached the demon ancestor realm. Sue looked at the unconscious Little Marshall with a comforting expression. His eyes were filled with unspeakable anxiety. It turned out that the little phoenix that had been clamoring for barbecued meat and spiritual herbs every day turned into a chubby little fatty after transforming. Sue smiled bitterly and shook his head. Thus, Sue told Merciless West about entering the Golden Rock secret realm, passing the Golden Rock's test, and helping Little Marshall undergo the tribulation. Such a fortuitous encounter! Merciless West couldn't help but click her tongue in wonder. At the same time, she was full of praise for Little Marshall Sue. As expected, the demon ancestor realm wasn't something that ordinary savage beasts could compare to. His cultivation speed was too shocking. No one would have thought that the little fatty in front of them had the ability to burn everything and destroy the world. However, Little Marshall hasn't woken up since he left the secret realm. I've already fed him the spiritual liquid, but there's no reaction at all. He's been in a deep sleep. Sue looked worried. A big radish jumped out from the medicinal herbs. It had a beard and looked like an old man. It was the blood jade spirit ginseng. The spirit ginseng stroked its beard. "Kid, you've escaped danger? It's normal that the little bird hasn't woken up yet. Don't worry." "Grandpa Ginseng, why do you say that?" Sue nodded lightly and asked. "It is very difficult for ordinary beasts of the barbarian race to reach the Origin Emperor realm. Once they reach the Origin Emperor realm, they would have to go through the transformation tribulation. After the transformation, the vital chi in their body, meridians, and all human structures would be very different from the form of the barbarian race." Sue and Merciless West perked up their ears and listened carefully. As humans, this was the first time they had heard of such theories. It was very novel. "Brat, do you still remember how weak I was at that time? If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have been able to find a better and safer place with abundant yuan qi. It's very likely that I would have become someone else's medicine." The blood jasper spirit ginseng continued to speak. "As for the barbaric beasts that have reached the Origin Emperor realm, the transformation tribulation is even more difficult. To be able to successfully pass the transformation tribulation requires not only innate talent but also great luck. After successfully passing the tribulation, even if they don't die, they will be left with half of their lives and will be extremely weak. It will take a period of time for them to recover." After listening to the blood jasper spirit ginseng's words, Ling Qianxue recalled how her tribe had been exterminated. The immense pain in her heart made her unleash her potential cultivation in an instant, and she went through the tribulation. At that time, her eyes were filled with hatred. She went through the tribulation alone and narrowly escaped death. Even now, she still had lingering fears. "This big radish is right." Ling Qianxue nodded in agreement. "It is said that when the great demons of the barbarian race with noble bloodlines reach the transformation tribulation, they will experience the transformation tribulation and endure the continuous tempering of the 9 heavens' profound thunder. After that, they will undergo the final tempering according to their own bloodline. Only after going through that tempering can they truly become a great demon and run rampant in the world." Sue recalled the time at the Golden Rock Sea Cliff. Little Shuai was bathed in flames in the cave and was filled with demonic qi. The demonic qi in the entire cave had enveloped the sea cliff. The atmosphere was rapidly rising, and the air seemed to have started to change. "That's right." Little Shuai went through the baptism of his own phoenix divine fire in the end and was finally born. Su-yi nodded lightly. Therefore, after little Shuai went through the tempering of the divine fire, the bones and flesh in his body, as well as his vitality and meridians, are all going through earth-shattering changes and adjustments. His sea of consciousness has been rebuilt, and his soul can travel between heaven and earth. It is also possible that he will inherit the memories and divine abilities of his ancestors. The blood jasper spirit Ginseng's small eyes were shining with a strange light. This was a feeling he would never experience. Big Brother gently patted Su-yi's shoulder, indicating for him to relax. Little Shuai had already survived the transformation tribulation and the tempering of the divine fire. It was only a matter of time before he woke up. The day he woke up would be the day when the great demon was born. It would be an earth-shattering event. That's right, Big Brother Su-yi. Little Shuai will definitely hear your call. Feng Qi blinked her big eyes and comforted Su-yi. Don't think too much. Didn't you go to help your big brother find the 9-turn dragon scale grass? Ling Qianxue deliberately changed the topic, hoping that Su-yi would not be immersed in Little Shuai's coma. Su-yi pondered for a long time. Little Shuai was now a peerless expert in the Demon Grandmaster realm. He was not someone he could help. The spirit was willing, but the flesh was not strong enough. Su-yi's face immediately showed a trace of a smile, but his eyes were fixed on the sleeping Little Shuai. That's right, Big Brother. I went to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion when I passed by 9-Star City. The only 9-turn dragon scale grass in the Chaos Realm has already been bought by someone. But don't worry about it, I will help you find it again. You brat, even in such a dangerous situation, you did not forget to help me find the 9-turn dragon scale grass. Merciless West's eyes flashed with a trace of gratitude. The 9-turn dragon scale grass was rare and expensive. It could be used to refine the 9-turn heaven pill. As long as it was something that Merciless West wanted, even if it meant going bankrupt, Su-yi would not frown. I wonder what Big Brother wants the 9-turn dragon scale grass for? Merciless West's mouth flashed with a trace of a smile as his mouth pointed to the xianling tree beside him. Do you still remember the use of the fruit of this xianling tree that you brought in? Of course I remember. The xianling tree was extremely effective in improving one's cultivation. If one swallowed a xianling fruit when breaking through to the Yuan Zhen stage from the Yuan Spirit stage, one would be able to maximize the medicinal effect and break through to the Yuan Zhen stage in one go. Furthermore, after breaking through, one's cultivation base would be more solid than any amount of spiritual stones. Back then, it was for this xianling fruit that Mu Yao and the rest had led tens of thousands of Xinjian Gate disciples to hunt him down in the battlefield of 10,000 swords. Of course, Su-yi had also stolen the space bags of tens of thousands of people. Could it be? Su-yi immediately thought that the 9-turn dragon scale grass might have the same effect. The 9-turn god refining pill. Merciless West's eyes seemed to burn with desire when he mentioned this name. What effect does it have? Su-yi asked softly. For his big brother to be so eager, it must be something extraordinary. There is a huge gap between the Yuan Sovereign and the Yuan Zong stage. Relying on one's own strength, some people would not be able to cross it in their entire life. Merciless West explained the effects of the 9-turn god refining pill. Not only could this pill help a half-step Yuan Zong stage expert strengthen their Yuan foundation and break through to the Yuan Zong stage in one go, more importantly, it was said that there was an extremely small possibility that it could help a cultivator open up the legendary divine spiritual meridians. Chapter 1336. Divine Profound Spiritual Veins? Su-yi was puzzled. He had never heard of such a thing before. There are two kinds of origin ancestor realm cultivators in this world. Through talent, one is to enter the origin ancestor realm, which is much stronger than the origin emperor realm. The other kind is to enter the origin ancestor realm and develop the divine profound spiritual veins. The meridians of the martial Tao were the Tao of origin qi. When the meridians were opened, the origin qi would flow smoothly. When the meridians were thick and strong, the origin qi energy would flow smoothly. Those who opened the divine profound spiritual veins were blessed by the heavens. They were the chosen ones with great luck. A Xian spirit cultivator is also a deity, a being blessed by the heavens. A Xian latch cultivator is able to sense it and open it. The foundation of the spirit veins is the reconstruction of the vital energy meridians. Once the spirit veins are complete, the Xian latch is formed. It was said that there were 108 profound entrances on the divine profound spiritual veins. Every profound entrance would double one's cultivation. Since ancient times, no one had inherited the divine profound spiritual veins, and no one had been able to open all the profound entrances. Every single entrance will double in strength. How terrifying is that? Su Yi's heart was in turmoil. It seemed like he had to get the 9-turn dragon scale grass. So powerful! Ling Qianxue muttered to herself. Big brother, I know where to find the 9-turn dragon scale grass. Su Yi said proudly. Where? Merciless West asked anxiously. 9 Stars Valley, Lightning Ceiling Valley. I'll go find it and help Big Brother advance to the origin ancestor realm. Su Yi looked at Merciless West and said softly. You can't. Everyone in the Chaos region knows about the dangers of Lightning Ceiling Valley. Tao and Dong's punishment has spread throughout the Chaos region. This is a heavy punishment. You can't get involved in this. But if I don't get involved, the trouble will come to me. Su Yi shook his head and smiled bitterly. Old bastard, when did you become so cautious? Su Yi brat, why didn't you come to see your sister after returning to the sect? Impermanence Fairy Yu Qiuhan's figure appeared in the mysterious space. Presumably, the Green Emperor and the others saw the High Priest and did not stop him. Elder Sister Fairy. Sister Fairy is right. I Su Yi am not afraid of these small fries. I don't care who they are, I'll just flip them over. Su Yi laughed and said with a smile. That's right, old bastard. You're really regressing as you live. You can't even compare to that brat Su Yi. You're just a Yuan Emperor, right? Ah. Impermanence Fairy looked at Merciless West with a teasing smile, but her eyes were filled with warmth. She had been looking for this old bastard for her entire life. They were together every day, and she scolded him whenever she could. Merciless West was stunned by Yu Qiuhan's words. She rolled her eyes at the two of them, and a trace of helplessness crept onto her face. All right. I can't outtalk you. Don't let this old man save you when the time comes. I am also at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Do I need him to save me? Good little brother, come to sister and let sister see if you've lost weight. Su Yi and Merciless West had a deep brotherly relationship. Su Yi was also a sweet talker. He kept calling her fairy and sister-in-law, which often made Impermanence Fairy giggle. Yeah. You need to go out more. After going out for a while, your body will become tougher. If I hit you again, I'm afraid my hands will hurt to death. Impermanence Fairy looked at Su Yi with eyes filled with joy. She was liking Su Yi more and more. Su Yi was embarrassed by Impermanence Fairy's gaze. He smiled casually and said, Elder Sister Fairy, you're also getting prettier. Brat, don't be so glib. Be careful that I don't beat you up. Merciless West heard Su Yi calling her elder sister Fairy and felt very uncomfortable. Yo, old bastard, are you jealous? Ignore him. Su Yi brat, let sister ask you. Tang Wang is here to invite you to the 9 Stars Valley, right? Merciless West's imposing manner was lowered. He opened his mouth but didn't say anything. He just looked at the two of them with a bitter smile. Su Yi's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He immediately admitted that even Impermanence Fairy could see through Tang Wang's intentions. Big brother, It seems like I have to go to the Nine Stars Valley. It's not just for you. Previously, when I was observing the Nine Stars Sky Ocean in the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, I gained a lot of insight. Since Chen Yao wants to see me so badly, I'll let him see me. Merciless West remained silent. His brows were tightly knitted. At this moment, he was only worried about Su Yi's safety. The news of Su Yi coming out of the secret realm had spread to every corner of the Chaos region. During this period of time, the Bawang sect's doorstep was almost broken. Countless third-rate forces, whether they knew each other or not, had conflicts with each other, and had no conflicts with each other, all paid tribute to the Bawang sect. With the deaths of the Gimdeo sect and the Seven-Star Sword School, as well as the annihilation of the Jade Tripod sect and the Green Sanctuary sect, the Bawang sect had become a terrifying existence in the hearts of many in the Chaos region. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. Su Yi and the Bawang sect had developed so quickly that they naturally became a thorn in the side of some people. They wanted to remove them as soon as possible. For this trip to the secret realm, the Blood Sun sect had offered a bounty and even sent out an Origin Ancestor realm expert. It was unknown what they would do in the future. It was easy to dodge an open attack, but difficult to guard against a hidden arrow. Merciless West had heard of Su Yi's schemes in the Nine Stars Valley. He had sent people to invite Su Yi into the valley many times. This time, even Tang Wang could not do anything about it. It seemed that the Nine Stars Valley was imperative. Kid, after you left, Shadow Hall and I helped you recruit a lot of people. Now the entire Chaos region is basically filled with our Bawang sect's spies. Thank you for your hard work, sister. It's been a bit hard for you to be the head priest. You're also in charge of the Torture Hall and the Shadow Hall. Impermanence Fairy waved her hand and frowned. She was no longer joking. Kid, you're still playing this game with me. What I want to tell you is the discovery of the Shadow Hall. Sister Han, go ahead. I'm listening. Su Yi felt uneasy. Impermanence Fairy was a fearless person, but now she was serious. It seemed that this matter was not a joke. The Blue Cloud Hall's Xia Wushu, who escorted you back last time. Did you see him in the secret realm this time? Su Yi also had some doubts in the secret realm. Although the Blue Cloud Hall had Wei Hong and Hu Kuan who were not weak, they were still inferior to the Blood Sun sects by Zun, Nine Stars Valley's Tang Wang, and Elder Nie. A new secret realm usually represented a huge opportunity. There were countless treasures inside, and every force saw it as theirs. Xia Wushu's absence could only mean that the Blue Cloud Hall had something more important to them. I didn't see him. Tell me, Sister Han. Su Yi felt that something was wrong. The Shadow Hall disciples I sent back news that Xia Wushu left the Blue Cloud Hall when the secret realm opened. After that, there was no news of him in the entire Chaos region. He might have gone to another continent. And maybe he went to do something important. The Chaos region was vast, and it was located in the Endless Sky Sea region. It had little communication with other continents, but there were still some contact. Xia Wushu is also an elder-level character with a first-rate strength. For him to leave the Chaos region without any warning, I'm afraid that something big is about to happen. Brat, you better be prepared. Although the Overlord sect is strong now, you still have to be careful. Chapter 1337. Su Yi looked at Big Brother Merciless West and Sister Han, who were worried about him and the Bawang sect. A wave of emotion appeared in his heart, but he didn't show it. I'll remember this. Sister Han, Big Brother, let's go out first. Everyone in the meeting hall must be waiting anxiously. After saying a few words to the Blood Jasper Ginseng, he left the mysterious space with Merciless West, Impermanence Fairy, and Feng Qi. The Scarlet Blaze Lion that was brought in had improved a lot during this period of time. He brought it out and let it report to the Heavenly Demon Temple. It was the Bawang sect's new disciple. In the meeting hall, it was bigger than before. There were 10 chairs on both sides, and a huge fiery red chair in the middle. The back of the chair was carved into a giant sword. The armrest was carved into the shape of a divine phoenix. The entire hall was richly decorated, and there were pictures of phoenixes holding swords everywhere. The aura was extraordinary, sacred, and majestic. The phoenix soared into the sky, the divine fire descended, and the giant sword was invincible. Outside the door, there were 2 disciples in golden red clothes. They stood respectfully outside the door with a solemn expression. Many disciples had been fascinated by Su-yi for a long time. The 2 guards were also new elite disciples. Being able to see the King of Heaven's pride of the Chaos region with their own eyes, they couldn't help but tighten their grip on their swords. At this time, the main hall was filled with the elites of the Bawang sect. Huang Jian, Nangong Ningyue, Lei Yunhe, Wang Zhenquan, and the hall masters sat on the west side. On the east side were the protectors of the Heavenly Demon Temple. From top to bottom were the Green Emperor, the Yin and Ming Emperors, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, the Purple Elephant Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor. The other seats were filled with protectors and deacons above the Origin Void Realm. Everyone was respectfully waiting for the Bawang sect's sect master, Su-yi. The whole hall was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. Suddenly, a few mighty waves of yuan qi rushed in from outside the door. The unparalleled yuan qi gushed out from Su-yi's body like a wave of energy. Merciless West, Impermanence Fairy, Feng Qi'er, and the others followed closely behind, their monstrous auras rising. Su-yi's body was surrounded by a faint radiance, as if a god had descended. Su-yi slowly walked in from the outer gate, and a sharp aura burst forth. The disciples outside the entrance looked at the silhouettes of Su-yi and the others from afar. The immense pressure caused the breathing of every disciple to quicken as they hurriedly circulated their yuan qi and shouted out, "Sect leader has arrived! Hula!" The sound of chairs rubbing against each other and people standing up could be heard in the meeting hall. "Welcome, sect master." Su-yi wasn't used to it since it was the first time that so many people had gathered. However, this was also another step towards becoming a first-class force. Strict discipline and strict system could make people feel reverence. The Bawang sect wasn't an idle organization made up of stragglers. Su-yi slowly walked into the meeting hall. Every step he took was extremely firm, just like how Su-yi built the Bawang sect step by step. Quietly looking at the elite forces of the Bawang sect, Su-yi gradually had a deeper plan for the future development in his heart. "Good, everyone sit down." Nangong Ningyue respectfully handed over the roster to Su-yi. Sect Master, during this period of time, because of the various deeds of the Bawang sect, many disciples have been attracted to the sect. In addition, you obtained an opportunity from the secret realm. 2 days before you return to the sect, many disciples have been attracted. Here is the roster. Su-yi glanced at the roster. The number of people was as many as 2,000 to 3,000. Su-yi carefully looked at the roster. There were 300 to 400 experts below the 6th level of the Origin Void stage, and 100 to 200 experts above the 6th level of the Origin Void stage below the Origin Emperor stage. There were also over 20 powerhouses above the Origin Void stage, and the rest were powerhouses below the Origin Void stage. They were all over 20 years old and had extremely good potential. Sect Master, these are all selected. Those who don't meet the requirements or have ulterior motives have all been eliminated by the head revered elder. Su-yi closed the roster in satisfaction and said faintly, "The disciples who join these 2 days will all enter the Shadow Hall and scatter to various continents to obtain information for the Bawang sect. They will be tempering outside and will be surrounded by dangers. After 1 year, those who return safely and have made special contributions can directly participate in the Inner Court Disciple Test and have priority in the selection of direct disciples." "Yes," Nangong Ningyue faintly agreed. Merciless West and Impermanence Fairy inwardly praised from the side. In this way, the Bawang sect's information network could encompass the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean. The Bawang sect would know everything under the heavens like the back of its hand. And those who could survive outside were surely people with rich combat experience and astute minds. In the future, they would very likely become the future mainstay of the Bawang sect. Compared to the inner court disciples nurtured by the Bawang sect, they would have more immediate combat strength. Therefore, they would have more advantages in promotion. The discipline hall is responsible for all matters of punishment, no matter how big or small. The law is strict and impartial, and the handling of matters is orderly. You are not allowed to harm fellow disciples, betray the sect, or betray the sect when the sect is in danger. Big Sister Han, the Bawang sect has a large number of people now. I'll have to trouble Big Sister Han with the discipline hall. Su Yi's aura rose sharply, and the atmosphere in the hall immediately froze. It was as if an unsheathed sword was stabbed into everyone's heart. The feeling of awe was chilling to the bone. Impermanence very gently twirled the hair around her finger and then put it down. However, her eyes were fierce and murderous, and her killing intent was monstrous. Sect Master's words are reasonable. Pass down my order. Whoever violates the above 3 rules will be killed on the spot. There will be no tolerance. Born as a member of the Bawang sect, and dead as a member of the Bawang sect. Recently, too many people had entered the Bawang sect. There would always be people with ulterior motives. This was also a warning to those vile people. Afterwards, Nangong Ningyue ordered people to bring in dozens of space bags. Wang Zhenquan told Su Yi that during this period of time, almost all the third-rate forces in the Chaos region had sent people to establish relations. They hoped that Su Yi would shelter them. With the bloody incident of the Gimdeo sect as a precedent, they were afraid that one day, Su Yi would be unhappy and destroy their sections. Su Yi looked at the contents of the bag with satisfaction. There were countless spirit stones, thousands of dark weapons and spirit weapons, dozens of Dao weapons, tens of bottles of celestial-grade elixirs, 1 to 2,000 bottles of yellow-grade elixirs, and a small mountain of celestial and moon-grade elixirs. In addition, there were tens of thousands of various cultivation methods. The current Bawang sect's financial resources were not inferior to any second-rate forces. It was even above some of the second-rate forces. In addition, Wang Zhenquan gave 7 more space bags to Su Yi. He told Su Yi that these space bags were from the 6 major second-rate forces: the Profound Een Gate, Crimson Sun Sect, Big Dipper Sect, Boundless Palace, Purple Shadow Pavilion, and Blue Flame Sect's space bags were all here. Big Dipper Sect? Hong Qianlong isn't looking for me to take revenge for his son? Su Yi smiled. If they really wanted to fight, the current Bawang sect could kill the Big Dipper sect in minutes. Wang Zhenquan told Su Yi that after Su Yi killed the Green Sanctuary sect and the Jade Tripod sect, even Luo Cheng and Lu Yinghong, 2 peerless experts at the 2nd level of the Origin Ancestor realm, were killed by Su Yi. Chapter 1338. The space bags of the Heavenly Dipper sect were collectively sent by the elders and guardians of the Heavenly Dipper sect to express their goodwill. What about this space bag? Su Yi pointed at one of the space bags sent by the 6 second-rate forces and asked in confusion. This was also sent by the Heavenly Dipper sect. The elders of the Heavenly Dipper sect who sent it said that they were the 2 elders of the Jade Tripod sect, surnamed Qi and Chao. When they heard that you came out of the Golden Rock mystic realm, the 2 elders of the Jade Tripod sect who joined the Heavenly Dipper sect were quite frightened. They asked the elders of the Heavenly Dipper sect to send the tribute together with the sect. Wang Zhengquan's skinny face was filled with happiness. He had never seen so many spirit stones and countless medicines and weapons in his life. That's right. Elder Kai of the Jade Tripod sect, who was killed last time, also said that there were 2 Origin Emperor Realm experts. So they had joined the Heavenly Dipper sect. Fortunately, The Heavenly Dipper sect has expressed their goodwill to me again. I don't have to look for them anymore. Sui was very satisfied. Power. As expected, in this world where martial arts were respected, power was the highest authority that could decide everything. Suyi's heart trembled. Only by becoming stronger could he bring the Bawang sect to a higher peak. After checking the space bags one by one, it could be said that the current Bawang sect could be said to be the fourth first-rate force in the Chaos realm. Everyone was extremely confident. Under the leadership of the young hero in front of them, the Chaos realm would soon have a fourth first-rate force. Wang Zhengquan handed the income accounts of a few cities to Su Yi and said respectfully, "This is the income of the cities sent by Sect Master Ji of the Xianjian sect and Sect Master Lin of the Six Unity sect. Please take a look." Su Yi looked at the account book, and a strange look could not help but flash across his eyes. The spirit stones obtained from mining previously, as well as the space bags from all the third-rate and second-rate forces, and the remaining resources of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, the current Overlord sect was simply rich. Even if their financial resources were not comparable to first-rate forces, they were not far behind. In the face of such a huge amount of financial resources, Su Yi secretly thought that the Bawang sect must have a proper management method. Not only must it take care of every disciple, but it must also allow the sect to have a continuous and comprehensive development. Su Yi took out a space bag from his chest. Inside were the resources he had obtained from Elder Kai of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Originally, he had bought so many clothes for Ling Qianxue, so he would consume some of them. He did not expect the Spirit Treasure Pavilion to be so generous, so he saved a lot. Other than keeping a portion of spirit stones for daily necessities, the rest of the spirit stones, weapons, and cultivation methods were all placed in another space bag. Su Yi gave them all to Wang Zhengquan. After receiving the interspatial bag, Wang Zhengquan's vital qi surged, and his face instantly became flushed. With such a huge amount of resources, his greedy nature was completely satisfied. Su Yi had handed Jin Tang over to Wang Zhengquan. The reason why he was at ease was because he had taken a fancy to Wang Zhengquan's greed. With a desire, it was easy to control. With control, it was easy to manage. Hall Master Wang, from now on, Jin Tang will be divided into the Profound Pill Pavilion, the Spiritual Martial Pavilion, and the Heavenly Scripture Pavilion. You will decide on the Pavilion Master and properly manage the Bawang sect's treasury. The Bawang sect adopts a point system. Every disciple can receive a corresponding amount of spirit stones from Jin Tang every month. In the future, the Martial Arts Hall will set the points activities and rules. You can exchange for the corresponding points and materials in your Jin Tang's 3 pavilions. The project is vast, but it is also a step that the Bawang sect must take. I hope you can do it well. Su Yi's expression was serious. In the face of things that would affect the future of the Bawang sect, Su Yi would not joke at all. Wang Zhengquan straightened his expression and replied solemnly, "With the sect master's appointment, Wang Zhengquan will definitely not disappoint you." Originally, Wang Zhengquan still had doubts about Su Yi. Now, it seemed that following Su Yi was the best thing he had done in his decades of life. Human rights, property rights, and financial rights were all in his hands. What he had now was something that he did not even dare to think about in the past. After being reminded by Wang Zhengquan, Su Yi seemed to have remembered something. He sent a voice transmission to the Green Emperor and said, "Go to the cave at the back of the mountain and bring him here." After a long while, a dispirited figure trembled as he crawled into the hall under the Green Emperor's lead. The person who came was Elder Kai, who had been locked in the mysterious space by Su Yi. When Su Yi came to the main hall, he had placed Elder Kai in the back of the mountain. He had originally wanted to make plans after the meeting. Coincidentally, the people of the Heavenly Dipper sect and the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had already submitted, so he brought him into the main hall. Under the puzzled gazes of the crowd, Elder Kai trembled in fear. His eyes were filled with fear. Ninth level of the Origin Emperor realm, ninth level of the Demon Emperor realm. Elder Kai's eyes were filled with fear. Sui sat in the middle. On both sides of the seat of honor were Merciless West, who was at the ninth level of the Origin Emperor realm, and Impermanence Fairy, Yu Chiohan. Further down, Lei Yunhe was also at the ninth level of the Origin Emperor realm. As for the Green Emperor, Yin Ming, and Yang Ming, they were also at the ninth level of the Demon Emperor realm. The short old man's spirit-devouring emperor was at the eighth level of the Origin Emperor realm. Long Shi, Purple Elephant, and Black Tortoise were all at the peak of the sixth level of the Demon Emperor realm. Just any one of these people was enough to crush him, who was at the sixth level of the Origin Emperor realm. Moreover, there were many Origin Void and Origin Emperor realm experts in the vast hall. Elder Kai, who had been tortured by the heavenly thunder in the mysterious space, saw the monstrous pressure in the hall. He felt that his soul was being ruthlessly eroded, and his weary aura gradually faded. Sui sat upright in his seat and shouted in a deep voice, "I'll give you one last chance. Submit to me. Otherwise, die." Elder Kai, who had witnessed the destruction of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, discussed with Elder Qi and Elder Chao to take away the last of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect's foundation. They could either support a small sect and wait for the small sect to rise, then they could join a first-rate faction. Or they could directly take the treasures and join a first-rate faction. With these resources and cultivation strength, they could always get a position in a first-rate faction. He didn't expect that before the plan succeeded, he would encounter a fiend like Sui. Elder Kai's last hope was gone. Elder Kai fell to the ground. His entire body was weak and powerless, but his mouth was still tough. "Just kill me." Elder Kai knew that he had no way out, but the other two Jade Tripod Alchemy sects' final foundation was still there. He definitely couldn't give it up and let Sui succeed. "I'll give you a way out. Let's see if you take it or not." Sui raised his eyebrows and gestured to Wang Zhenquan. Wang Zhenquan immediately understood and threw the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect's space bag in front of Elder Kai. "Take a look," Sui said in a deep voice. Elder Kai stretched out his skinny palm, and the last bit of his vitality surged. His eyes immediately widened in disbelief. "Your two fellow disciples don't seem to be as proud as you," Sui said with some regret and curled the corners of his mouth. A wave of anger flashed across Elder Kai's eyes. He dug into the space bag in disbelief. The resources that the three of them had distributed back then were all neatly placed inside. There was not the slightest difference. Chapter 1339. In the entire Bawang sect hall, only Elder Kai's heart-wrenching howls could be heard. What Elder Kai did not expect was that when he was bitterly holding on and not saying that he would eventually join the Heavenly Dipper sect, the two people who came out with him had already handed over the foundation of the Jade Tripod sect to Sui. During this period of time, he had been tortured by the heavenly lightning in the mysterious space until his soul was destroyed, and there was not a single place on his body that was intact. The two of them had changed sides so quickly. Thinking of this, Elder Kai felt that he was extremely stupid. Sui, who was sitting at the head of the table, looked at Elder Kai wailing, and his heart was cold. The remaining three Origin Emperor realm experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect did not trust each other to begin with. They divided the resources of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect into 3 portions, and Elder Kai received the least. Speaking of which, Elder Kai had been cheated quite badly. This was the rule of the Chaos Realm. The winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. Many people were like fence-sitters in order to save their lives. Sui looked coldly at the weak Elder Kai on the ground and asked in a deep voice, "I'll ask you one last time, will you submit to me?" Elder Kai's eyes were lifeless. After thinking for a moment, he finally gritted his teeth and said hatefully, I submit. The corners of Su Yi's mouth immediately curled up. He asked Merciless West for a bone-devouring soul pill and asked the Green Emperor to feed him. Elder Kai naturally knew what it was. Although he was extremely unwilling, he still gritted his teeth and swallowed it. Su Yi's heart skipped a beat. This Elder Kai had more backbone than the two Origin Emperor realm experts of the Jade Tripod sect. If he could really be used by him, he would also be an important force in the Bawang sect in the future. Alright, after eating my bone-devouring soul pill, you will be a member of the Bawang sect from now on. In the Bawang sect, even if you were a member of the Jade Tripod sect in the past, as long as you sincerely submit, I will not treat you unfairly. Everyone, listen up. Elder Kai is still an elder in my sect and belongs to the Martial Hall. As Su Yi spoke, he asked Merciless West to heal Elder Kai. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the Bawang sect's high priest personally treated Elder Kai, who had just been an enemy. Elder Kai's eyes trembled as he felt a vast and peaceful qi flowing into his body, spreading to his limbs and bones. 9th level Origin Emperor. Elder Kai stared at Merciless West in shock. In terms of cultivation level, Merciless West was only 3 levels higher than her. However, the density of their Yuan Qi was worlds apart from each other. Elder Kai sighed. If such a person was willing to follow Su Yi, what reason did he have to refuse? Elder Kai's throat seemed to be blocked by thousands of words. He didn't know where to start. Not only did Su Yi not treat him differently, but he even entrusted him with the responsibility of an elder. One had to know that the current Bawang sect was no longer the same as before. It would not be an exaggeration to call it the future fourth-rate force. If he and the 2 elders of the Jade Tripod sect, Qi and Chao, joined the Heavenly Dipper sect together, they could only start as deacons. Outsiders were bound to have different intentions. After their sects were destroyed, the discrimination and neglect of those who remained could be imagined. Su Yi looked at Elder Kai, whose eyes were lifeless. The injuries on his body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. While marveling at his brother's profound cultivation, he raised his sword-like eyebrows and muttered to himself. Elder Kai, when you enter the Bawang sect, everyone is eyeing the position of elder. You have to prove that you can take this position to convince the masses. Elder Kai was stunned and thought to himself. After all, he was a remnant of the Jade Tripod sect. Su Yi's words made sense. If he didn't prove it, it would be difficult for him to gain a foothold. At that moment, he remained silent. He had already handed over all the resources that he had brought out. How could he win the trust of the sect? After a long silence, Elder Kai shook his head slightly and said, "Sect Master, please enlighten me." After a long while, Su Yi said 3 words faintly. "Heavenly Dipper sect." Elder Kai came to a sudden realization as if he had been awakened. The corners of his mouth curled up. Elder Kai was also a smart person. His eyes darted around. Elder Kai had figured it out. Su Yi was giving him a chance. Previously, Elder Qi and Elder Chao had surrendered faster than him, causing him to suffer. The Heavenly Dipper sect and the Bawang sect were like fire and water. This friendship might not be sincere. If he could go to the Heavenly Dipper sect and pretend to surrender, he could monitor the movements of the Heavenly Dipper sect and settle the score with the 2 old men. After returning successfully, he would be able to sit firmly as an elder of the Martial Hall. He would also be able to reduce the hostility that the Bawang sect had towards him to the minimum. It was killing 3 birds with 1 stone. However, such a choice actually came from the mouth of a 17 or 18-year-old youth. This made Elder Kai extremely shocked. "Sect Master, this subordinate is willing to go to the Heavenly Dipper sect and assume the responsibility of monitoring the Heavenly Dipper sect for the Bawang sect. I hope that Sect Master will agree." After Merciless West finished treating him, Elder Kai immediately knelt down and begged. His ability to take advantage of situations was vividly displayed. Merciless West saw Elder Kai's appearance and smiled silently in his heart. However, he had a deeper impression of Su-yi in his heart. This kid is becoming more and more like a sect master after going out. His methods are sharp and his thoughts are meticulous. Very good. He immediately raised his eyes to look at Su-yi and nodded slightly. At this time, Impermanence Fairy also looked over. Merciless West raised his eyebrows, indicating to Impermanence Fairy that Su-yi had improved. Old bastard, you can't even be serious in a meeting, Impermanence Fairy said softly, but her face was full of smiles. After Merciless West finished treating Elder Kai, he walked back and sat down. When he passed by Impermanence Fairy fiercely pinched Merciless West's elbow, causing Merciless West to grimace in pain. Ahem! Su-yi thought that the two were flirting. He thought that this old couple did not care about the occasion. Then, he straightened his expression and said in a clear voice, "Everyone here is the elite force of the Bawang sect. Since the Bawang sect was founded, our goal has been to reach the peak of martial arts. As long as all of you work together and overcome all difficulties, the Bawang sect will sweep through the world and dominate the world. When I am not in the sect, I will have to rely on all of you. Let us work together to bring the Bawang sect to greater heights." Immediately, the hall was filled with roaring cheers and encouragement. Nangong Ningyue, Huang Jian, and the others' faces were brimming with longing. The Bawang sect was a rising star in the chaos realm with boundless potential. Every one of them was full of confidence in the future of the Bawang sect. As soon as his voice fell, Su-yi looked around at the crowd and left the assembly hall under everyone's gaze. Green Emperor and the others followed closely behind. At the back of the mountain, Situ Muyang and Elder Tang Wang were happily chatting. Situ Muyang had also been asking Elder Tang questions about his experience in martial arts. Tang Wang knew about Situ Muyang's talent? Since he had a deep relationship with Su-yi, he was happy to answer. The two of them talked back and forth, gesturing from time to time. They chatted for several hours in the back of the mountain. A touch of dark red sunset fell on the Bawang sect's back mountain. White clouds floated in the clear blue sky. The evening wind blew gently, bringing with it the delicate fragrance of exotic flowers and herbs. Under the glow of the setting sun, they appeared as bright as flames. Chapter 1340. From afar, Su-yi and the Green Emperor broke through the air and flew over. Their vital chi surged as a few figures drew a long arc in the sky. "Seems like you guys had a good chat. I came at the wrong time." Su-yi gently landed on the ground and said as he walked towards the two. He raised his hand and tapped his chin. "Young martial uncle." Situ Muyang's eyes lit up when he saw Su-yi. Situ Muyang turned to look at Elder Tang Wang, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Elder Tang told me a lot about the problems of Yuan Zhen's stage. He told me what I need to pay attention to and what I need to consolidate. He enlightened me." Tang Wang smiled faintly, stroked his beard, and laughed loudly. "Sect Master Su, your little brother is not an ordinary person. He's so young and has such high comprehension. I'm sure he'll be a powerhouse in the future." "Elder Tang, you flatter me. Don't let him get arrogant." With Situ Muyang outside, Su-yi could not help but act like an elder. "Young martial uncle, it won't be long before I defeat you. Just you wait." Situ Muyang's eyes were filled with determination. Su-yi gently patted Situ Muyang's shoulder and said softly, "All right, I'll wait." "Oh right, you've been here for half a day, but you haven't taken a good look around the Bawang sect. I'll ask the Green Emperor to bring you around." "Okay." Situ Muyang looked at Su-yi innocently. In front of Su-yi, apart from his terrifying cultivation, he was just like a little brother. "Young Master Muyang, please." Green Emperor looked at Su-yi, then glanced at Tang Wang from the corner of his eyes. He quickly collected himself and led Situ Muyang to the front of the mountain. The mountain wind was blowing, and the clouds in the distance were like ribbons, quietly hovering between the mountains. After Situ Muyang left, the two of them remained silent. They both understood each other's thoughts. Su-yi took a deep breath and muttered, "Elder Su, don't you have anything to say to me?" On Tang Wang's weathered face, lines of lines spread out, like an ancient well without ripples. The slightest ripple would instantly vanish into nothingness. Tang Wang was speechless. Su-yi said softly when he saw that Tang Wang found it difficult to speak. "Elder Tang, you've protected me several times and I owe you a debt of gratitude. You've done your best to escort me all the way here. Now that you have something on your mind, why don't you speak?" A slight twitch flashed across Tang Wang's face as he clenched his fists without leaving a trace. "Sect Master Su, have you heard about Tao Yuanda and Dong Changqing, the two 9 Stars Valley elders?" Su-yi immediately recalled that after the battle with Luo Qing of the Jade Tripod sect, the two of them were ordered by the 9 Stars Valley Master to capture him and bring him back to the 9 Stars Valley. "Of course I remember." The 9 Stars Valley Master punished the two of them to guard the Thunder Valley for 100 years. "Everyone in the Chaos region knows about this," Su-yi said faintly as he looked at the mountain peak in the distance. "So, Sect Master Su should understand my difficulties." Tang Wang's eyes had a dark luster as he frowned. Speaking of difficulties, Tang Wang had tried his best to protect himself back then and claimed to Elder Tao and Elder Yuan that he would take responsibility for everything. He would personally meet the Valley Master for the consequences. No one would have thought that the tough Tang Wang would not punish them but punish Elder Tao and Elder Dong heavily. This was a clever move. Elder Tang's prestige in the 9 Stars Valley had always been high. Elder Tang had once guaranteed that Elder Tao and Elder Dong would be fine. If Elder Tao and Elder Dong could not escape punishment in the end, not only would Elder Tang's prestige in the 9 Stars Valley be ruined, but it would also be a torture for Tang Wang, who had always been known to be upright and outspoken. According to Tang Wang's thoughts, it would not take much effort for Tang Wang to invite Su-yi into the 9 Stars Valley for the sake of Elder Tao and Elder Dong. Su-yi thought to himself. Ing Wuxiu had once said that although the 9 Stars Valley Master Chen Yao's cultivation was not top-notch, his schemes were as deep as the sea and made people fearful. "I just don't know why Valley Master Chen Yao wants me to enter the valley?" Su-yi asked in confusion. Su-yi really did not understand. He had never had a good impression of the 9 Stars Valley. The only person he had a connection with was Elder Tang Wang in front of him. The 9 Stars Valley had seen everything that he had done in the Chaos region. What kind of wishful thinking did the 9 Stars Valley Master have? The 9 Star Valley was in the middle of the 3 first-rate forces. The Blue Cloud Palace had always prioritized upholding justice. The Blood Sun sect's methods were ruthless, and their disciples' behavior was unreasonable. The 9 Star Valley was in the middle, but it was somewhat low-profile. It should be said that it was terrifyingly low-profile. However, everyone in the Chaos region, including the rogue cultivators who had just entered the Chaos region, knew that the 9 Stars Valley was much more terrifying than the Blood Sun sect. According to Elder Dong, the Valley Master only wants to have a face-to-face talk with you to see if you are willing to serve the 9 Stars Valley. However, the Valley Master's thoughts are unfathomable. Tang Wang knew very well that the 9 Stars Valley Master did not invite Su-yi to enter the valley just to ask if Su-yi was willing to serve the 9 Stars Valley. However, Tang Wang was also very confused about the specific matter. "Elder Tang, do you know about the 9-turn dragon scale herb?" Su-yi did not delve into the 9 Stars Valley Master's intentions. Instead, he asked the question that he wanted to ask the most. Was the 9-turn dragon scale herb in the 9 Stars Valley like what the Lingbao Pavilion had said? "Of course I know. The 9-turn dragon scale herb is a herb unique to the 9 Stars Valley. After so many years, The number of dragon scale herbs in the Chaos region is less than 10. Sect Master Su, why are you asking about this? It was mentioned in a book that the dragon scale herb is said to have a miraculous effect. Is it true? Su-yi probed further. Yes, as Sect Master Su said, the first time I saw the 9-turn dragon scale herb was 30 years ago, Tang Wang recalled. Since the 9 Stars Valley was built, there was a forbidden area called the Thunder Sealing Valley. As the name suggested, the Thunder Sealing Valley was filled with the elements of wind and thunder and had a strong gravitational force. In the depths of the Thunder Sealing Valley, there was a well-known 9 stars Calamity Sea. The 9-turn dragon scale herb grew on the cliff of the Calamity Sea. It attracted the 9 heavens Xian thunder and was nourished by the wind and thunder Yuan Qi of heaven and earth. The Thunder Sealing Valley had always been the place where the ancestor of the valley cultivated in seclusion. It was filled with wind and thunder, and the power of the stars was endless. Experts had to go in regularly to cultivate the Heart Sutra of the sect and stimulate the power of the stars in their bodies from time to help the ancestor with his cultivation. At that time, the ancestor came out of seclusion for 100 years and coincided with the Lingbao Pavilion's grand ceremony in the 9 Stars City. The ancestor brought a few bunches of 9-turn dragon scale herb out to cultivate the core disciples of the sect. One of the bunches was given to the Lingbao Pavilion by the Xiantian Valley Master at that time. The rest of the 9-turn dragon scale herb was left in the 9 Stars Valley storehouse and had been used up after so many years. It was said that it was refined by 3 heaven-grade soul manipulators and could be made into a 9-turn soul refining pill. It was extremely effective in breaking through from the Origin Emperor realm to the Origin Ancestor realm. I have never seen one before. Speaking of this, Tang Wang felt that it was a pity. He did not know if he would be able to see the 9-turn soul-refining pill in his lifetime. Sui muttered to himself. What Tang Wang said was roughly the same as what Merciless West and Yin Wuxiu had said. It seemed that if he wanted his brother and himself to break through to the Origin Ancestor realm smoothly in the future, he would have to take the risk in the 9 Stars Valley. Chapter 1341. Alright. For the time being, I will take a trip to the 9 Stars Valley. The mountains, the rivers of stars, the stars move. I want to see just how mysterious this 9 Stars Valley is. Really? Tang Wang was a little excited. He slowly exhaled, as if the rock in his heart had finally been lifted. The night wind whistled, blowing Su Yi's hair back and forth. Tang Wang looked at the young man in front of him, and a light flashed in his eyes. Under the moonlight, Su Yi's body was covered in light, as if he was a god who had descended to the mortal world. His aura was vigorous and extraordinary. Sect Master Su, I don't know what the Valley Master is planning, but you were brought into the valley by me, so I will bring you out of the valley. Your actions have shocked and shamed this old man. Tang Wang said embarrassedly. Su-yi knew that there was a tiger in the mountain, but he still went to the tiger's mountain. Not only did he not make things difficult for himself in front of the Valley Master, but he also preserved his authority in the valley. Su-yi's intentions were entirely due to his previous friendship with Tang Wang. In comparison, Tang Wang felt that he was not as good as Su-yi. Su-yi waved his hand and a glimmer of light flashed in his bright eyes. What will come sooner or later. Instead of waiting, it's better to strike first. He turned to look at Elder Tang and said with a grin, Ha ha ha, when the time comes, I'll borrow some 9-turn dragon scale grass from the 9 Stars Valley. Elder Tang and the valley can't be stingy. Tang Wang was slightly taken aback. Then, he broke into laughter and said, I've just told sect leader Su about the dangers of the Thunder Sealing Valley. If sect leader Su can pluck the dragon scale grass, with such a terrifying ability, how can my 9 Stars Valley not let it go? Tang Wang's eyes flashed and he frowned. This young man is full of secrets. Maybe he really did pluck the grass. With the 9-turn dragon scale grass, the chaos region will become even more chaotic. Su Yi's eyes were like cold swords. He looked at the dense forest in front of him, and his heart was calm. Elder Tang, after you escorted me back to the sect, did you see Elder Xie? I've never seen him before. That old fellow is elusive all day long. Perhaps he's in the Blue Cloud Hall. Is Sect Master Su looking for that old fellow for something? Tang Wang looked at Su Yi in confusion. No, it's just that I didn't see Elder Xie outside the secret realm. It's just a little strange. Tang Wang was solemn. He nodded slightly and said slowly, that old man's cultivation is unfathomable. There shouldn't be any problem. Su Yi's eyes were as sharp as an eagle's, and he no longer spoke. Compared to Tang Wang's words, he was more inclined to agree with Impermanence Fairy's words. The Chaos Realm was a place where one's life could be taken at any moment. Not a single detail could be overlooked. After exchanging a few more pleasantries, Su Yi and Tang Wang decided that they would set off for the Nine Stars Valley 2 days later after Su Yi had settled the matters of the sect. Nine Stars Valley. Located in the southwest corner of the Chaos Realm, it was a deep valley. The spiritual energy in the valley was condensed, like a paradise on earth. It had never been discovered by outsiders. The deep valley was quiet and tranquil. There were jagged rocks of grotesque shapes in the valley, and the mountain rocks were lush and green. Those with high cultivation could see at a glance that in this verdant and green valley, the mountain rocks and plants were arranged according to the distribution of the stars in the sky. The whole valley surrounded by peaks was like a huge astrolabe. On the jagged mountain rocks, the ancient trees were like dragons. They were strong and powerful, with luxuriant branches and leaves. They raised their heads to the sky. Between the dense ancient trees, there were faint twinkling stars. They complemented each other with the stars in the night sky. A strange and mysterious force pervaded between heaven and earth, making people cautious and fearful for no reason. The mottled ancient trees and the stars were faint. The Nine Stars Valley exuded a mysterious atmosphere amidst the tranquility. In the depths of the valley there were groups of palaces. They were intertwined with each other, and there was no end in sight. They were majestic and magnificent. At the highest point of the palace, a middle-aged man stood by the window. There were a few faint lines between his eyebrows. His long black hair was neatly combed behind his head. His entire person had the temperament of a humble and gentle scholar. The middle-aged man's eyes were cold. His body was filled with fluctuations and whistles in the silence. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind the middle-aged man. Valley Master, Su Yi has promised Elder Tang Wang to come to the Nine Stars Valley in 2 days. The middle-aged man was the Nine Stars Valley Master, Chun Yao. After a long silence, he said in a deep voice, "Ask Mayor Nangong to come and see me tomorrow." Yes. The black shadow behind him received the order and disappeared again. Bawang sect. After Su Yi and Tang Wang had a discussion, they returned to their own house. The Bawang sect's back mountain and front mountain had been completely separated. His residence was in the deepest part of the Bawang sect. There were more than 10 teams of martial arts disciples patrolling the front and back mountains. The Green Emperor and the Yin Emperor were guarding not far from Su Yi's house. In addition, Su Yi's house was very safe with the restriction of the Phantom World. The dangers of the Nine Stars Valley are unknown. It's time to go into seclusion, Su Yi muttered to himself. Su Yi sat on the bed with his legs crossed. He formed a seal with his palms and began to meditate. As the mysterious and complicated seals were formed in his hands, a faint light fluctuation appeared between Su Yi's eyebrows. The divine brilliance rippled and spread around his body, enveloping the entire room. Su Yi's body turned hazy. When he opened his eyes again, he had once again entered the mysterious space. The surrounding spiritual energy was dense and oppressive. The space had become incomparably vast and difficult to measure. Back when he first entered the mysterious space, the mysterious ball of light in Su Yi's mind exploded. Su Yi learned of the primordial chaos supreme technique for the first time. As he constantly cultivated the primordial chaos supreme technique, Su Yi experienced the terror of the primordial chaos supreme technique again and again. Even with the heavenly Fei ancient scripture, Su Yi knew that the primordial chaos supreme technique was the foundation of his martial arts. It was the most important source of all his martial skills and also Su Yi's greatest secret. Through cultivating the primordial chaos supreme technique, Su Yi knew that he had always been cultivating the primordial chaos Fei body. The primordial chaos Fei body first needed Yuan Qi to expand the body's veins and reforge the internal organs. It also needed to absorb various spiritual herbs into the body to refine the muscles, bones, skin, and flesh, and meridians and internal organs. According to the information provided by the mysterious ball of light in Su Yi's mind, Su Yi knew that the primordial chaos Fei body had a total of 7 realms. The first realm was the Vajra body. The second realm was the primordial chaos Fei soul, which absorbed the souls of all living beings to strengthen and temper the soul. The third realm was the heavenly Yang heart. The fourth realm was the great void divine sea, which transformed the Dantian's Qi sea into an endless divine sea. The fifth realm was the primordial Yang heavenly bone. Once cultivated, the bones could withstand strength that was at least 100 times stronger than those at the same cultivation level. In the golden rock mystic realm, Su Yi had been nourished by the primordial dragon's breath. The primordial Yang heavenly bone that he had cultivated to the large success stage melted and fused, forming the primordial Yang heavenly dragon bone that was dozens of times tougher than the primordial Yang heavenly bone. This surprised Su Yi. After cultivating the primordial Yang heavenly dragon bone, the primordial chaos supreme technique in Su Yi's mind did not show the sixth realm. Su Yi found it very strange back then. Chapter 1342. Bawang Sect, a vast forest. The blue night sky was like ink as it slowly spread across the lush greenery and spread into the distance. A faint layer of smoke and clouds appeared in the air, covering the already dim void with a layer of mist. Time passed slowly and Su Yi's room was already filled with mysterious light. Su Yi was constantly guiding the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into his body. It merged with the qi of vitality in the great void divine sea and finally condensed into an even more vigorous qi of vitality. It flowed in Su Yi's limbs and bones and made a trembling sound like flowing water. The spiritual energy in his body emitted waves of qi. It was bright and dazzling, like a divine fire burning the sky. His entire body emitted a sacred and majestic aura. Suddenly, the light on Su Yi's body became brighter and brighter. The sound of the meridians in his body was gradually replaced by the roar of wind and thunder. Su Yi's eyes were tightly shut. The hand seals between his palms were constantly changing. The aura on his body became more and more turbulent. The fire and earth elemental qi of vitality around Su Yi's body alternated. Faintly, there was also wind elemental qi of vitality mixed in. Clanging sounds were constantly emitted. Su Yi in front of him was enveloped by the light of earth, water, fire, and wind elemental qi of vitality. His entire body seemed to be flowing with mysterious power. Su Yi sat cross-legged on top of the mysterious space. The rich and dense spiritual energy continuously entered Su Yi's body. The light around Su Yi was like a divine light. It rippled with divine light and carried with it a monstrous wave. It was as if a mysterious power had traveled through time and space and descended from the ancient times. This power, Ling Qianxue in Su Yi's body, was suppressed by the monstrous power in front of her. It was as if a huge palm was choking her. She could not speak for a long time. The huge and unparalleled energy wave was a kind of suppression and killing on the level of the soul. Now, she was only a remnant soul. If she encountered Su Yi's terrifying soul suppression, she would die before she could even react. Her soul would be destroyed. Then, he looked at Su Yi. Su Yi's body was enveloped by the light screen, and he was motionless. All the pores on his body were open, and he was constantly absorbing the mysterious energy of heaven and earth. The supreme art of origin didn't respond for a long time, which made Su Yi very puzzled. At this moment, Su Yi was starting from the foundation establishment stage, drawing spiritual energy into his body, from the middle to the outside, from small to large, until 72 changes stopped. This cycle repeated a total of 72 times. The strange light completely isolated Su Yi from the outside world. Within the dazzling light, Su Yi peeked into the mysterious brick-like ball of light in his mind. There was still no reaction. The ball of light rippled with divine splendor. It was hazy and indistinct. After a long time, Su Yi's long eyelashes started to flutter. He retracted his hand seal, opened his eyes, and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Su Yi was puzzled. The spiritual energy in the mysterious space was so dense, and it was interacting with the vital energy in the great void divine sea. His bones and blood had been nourished once again. Why didn't the information of the supreme art of origin, Tianyuan demon body 6th tier, appear? Could it be because I was affected by the aura of the golden dragon, and the aura blocked the information of the Tianyuan demon body? Or could it be that my innate talent only allows me to cultivate to the Tianyuan demon body 5th tier? Su Yi's sword-like eyebrows furrowed. He was puzzled, and the more he thought about it, the more dejected he became. Could it be because of your cultivation level? When you reach the Origin Emperor realm, you will know the next level of cultivation. Ling Qianshue's crisp voice rang in Su Yi's ears. The first few levels don't have such taboos. But if your cultivation level isn't high enough, you can't cultivate a certain level of cultivation technique. Su Yi muttered to himself. The 13 Swords of Gale and Rising Heaven 100 transformation steps that he cultivated had strict requirements for the cultivator's cultivation level. He was relieved. Su Yi nodded slowly. Ling Qianshue's suggestion was reasonable. He had broken through too many Origin Void Realm breakthroughs, and his foundation had yet to be consolidated. He couldn't break through blindly. He had to restrain himself. It was taboo to rush for quick success in martial arts cultivation. Maybe it will appear when I reach the Origin Emperor realm. Su Yi stopped thinking about it and got up slowly. The night slipped away quietly under the moonlight. Early in the morning, in the Bawang sect, thousands of mountains had just woken up. Amidst the lush greenery, the morning glow poured down from the sky like a waterfall. The cries of beasts and auspicious birds circled in the sky. Their voices were like the sounds of nature, piercing through the sky. After a night of recuperation, Su Yi once again circulated his qi of vitality throughout his entire body. The qi of vitality in the great void spirit sea surged vigorously. His crystal-clear skin was radiant and colorful. The sect leader's attire was also embroidered with the pattern of a godly phoenix holding a sword. His entire body was gilded with golden patterns. The fiery red satin robe and the golden thread complemented each other. Su Yi had already decided to follow Tang Wang to the 9 Stars Valley tomorrow. Today was the last day to deal with some trivial matters in the sect. Su Yi sat in the main hall. He looked at the carved beams and painted rafters, solemn and holy. He had a lot on his mind. Nangong Ningyue came to report that she had asked the Shadow Hall to search for Su Chen, Yen Lin's whereabouts after the Sacred Martial Assembly, and Su Tiang's whereabouts had been found. After the spatial crack, Su Yi was teleported to the Chaos region. Nangong Ningyue told Su Yi that they couldn't find the whereabouts of Su Chen and Yen Lin in the entire Chaos region. They might have been teleported to another place. Su Tianke disappeared in the barbaric demon forest. They had to wait for the next step. Are you all right? Sui muttered to himself with narrowed eyes. Xianjian sect Master Ji has arrived. A disciple outside the door shouted, breaking the silence. Sui quickly regained his senses and looked up. A middle-aged man in his 40s slowly walked in from the entrance of the main hall. He had a pair of deep, dark eyes and wore a light blue robe with a light golden belt around his waist. He exuded an intimidating and fierce aura from his gentle and refined manner. Behind Ji Tianfu was a familiar figure. Her sparkling and delicate feet gently tapped the ground as she leisurely walked over. It was Ji Nuhan. When Ji Nuhan saw Sui sitting in the main hall, her heart trembled. She frowned slightly and hid behind Ji Tianfu. Sect Master Su, I haven't seen you for a few days. You look even more spirited. Ji Tianfu cupped his fists and slowly walked over. Su Yi's eyes flashed with joy. The Xianjian sect had always been a good friend of the Bawang sect. Su Yi was the kind of person who believed that his friends were greater than the heavens. Su Yi had always remembered this kindness in his heart. Su Yi looked at Ji Tianfu and faintly smiled. Sect Master Ji, Miss Hanhua, I trust you have been well since we last met. Ji Tianfu gently scratched the tip of Ji Hanhua's nose. He sighed helplessly and said, My precious daughter, when she heard that you came out of the secret realm, she insisted on coming to find you. I was worried, so I came with her. Father. Ji Hanhua blushed shyly and the blush spread to her neck. She did not expect her father to reveal everything about her. She wished she could find a hole to hide in. Ji Tianfu gently teased, What's wrong? You dare to do it but don't dare to admit it? Chapter 1343. It's good that you're fine. Ji Hanhua glanced at the person she missed day and night. Her heart settled down and her expression relaxed. Ji Hanhua said shyly. Her face was filled with shyness as she played with the corner of her clothes. Her gaze was evasive as she secretly sized up Sui. She didn't dare to look at Sui. Ji Tianfu looked at his daughter's face filled with spring. He naturally knew his daughter's feelings for Sui. He shook his head in his heart. There was no need to keep a grown daughter. This time, Ji Tianfu had other plans and his gaze was heavy. Immediately, Sui gestured for the two to sit down. Looking at the uneasy Ji Hanhua, Sui didn't know what to do. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Ji Tianfu had some things that he couldn't say in front of his daughter. Ahem, Nur, I think this Bawang sect is very different from the last time I met. Why don't you take a look around? Maybe you'll come here often in the future. Ji Tianfu smiled and looked at Ji Hanhua. Father. Ji Tianfu's joke hit the girl's heart. Coming to the Bawang sect often meant that her father could see that she was in love with Sui. In the future, she would be living in the Bawang sect. Aya. Ji Hanhua's snow-white face turned red and spread to her neck. She was a little angry as she quickly ran out of the door. Ji Hanhua's figure nimbly disappeared from Su Yi's eyes. Seeing a girl like this made Su Yi feel a little helpless. Ji Tianfu's mouth curved into a smile as he intentionally or unintentionally reminded Su Yi. Sect Master Su, you should understand my daughter's thoughts. Su Yi naturally understood Ji Hanhua's thoughts. Ji Tianfu had saved him time and time again and chose to form an alliance with him when the Bawang sect was still unknown. This was not only because of Ji Tianfu's unique insight, but more importantly, because of Ji Hanhua's matchmaking. After that, in the Alliance Conference's Phantom Spirit World, Ji Hanhua had poured out her heart to him. Su Yi already understood Ji Hanhua's love for him. After Ji Hanhua was captured by the Green Sanctuary sect, Su Yi was enraged. In her rage, she massacred the entire Green Sanctuary faction and destroyed the entire faction. Even Su Yi herself knew that she had developed feelings for this lady of Xianjian faction, whom she had not known for long. Hearing Ji Tianfu's words, Su Yi's mind quickly returned to normal. He smiled and said, Miss Hanhua is very good. Her mind is simple and kind. I wonder what sect Master Su thinks of my daughter? Sui thought to himself. What kind of feelings did he have for Ji Hanua? Although he had lived 2 lives, his experience in relationships was completely zero. He had transmigrated from Earth to this continent. From a nameless nobody, he had become a good-for-nothing young master with a prominent family background in Barbarian City. Then, from a good-for-nothing young master, he had become the sect master of a powerful sect that made people tremble in fear. No one could understand the hardships he had gone through. Sui had never thought about relationships between men and women. He did not know the whereabouts of his sworn brothers. He did not know whether his grandfather and the Su family were safe or not. He did not know where his biological parents were. Everything was waiting for Sui to figure out. For a moment, Sui did not know what to do and remained silent. Sui felt as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat. He had so many things to say, but he didn't know where to start. The beautiful honeymoon in the phantom spirit world was still vivid in his mind. Even a heaven-rank soul like Sui was a little dazed, wondering if that beautiful moment was real. Qianxue, how should I answer? Qianxue. Sui shouted a few times in his mind, but there was no reply. Sui was puzzled. Could it be that a demon emperor needed to sleep often? Sui could not help but wonder. Ling Qianxue looked at Sui's hesitant look. In Sui's consciousness, a trace of sadness flashed across Ling Qianxue's beautiful face. Why does it feel like my heart hurts when I see a girl liking him? It was the first time Ling Qianxue had such a feeling since her family was annihilated. I am a demon emperor, a big clan among the demons. Why would I have such feelings for a scoundrel of a human? I thought I would never have such feelings again. Ling Qianxue's voice was like an aureole. Her soft whispers echoed in Ling Qianxue's heart. She was sad and hesitant. She was in a trance with Sui, but she was not noticed by Sui. Looking at Sui's thoughtful eyes, Ji Tianfu frowned. Sect leader Su, you have great ambitions. My daughter is trying to climb up the social ladder. Ji Tianfu sighed. Back then, Sui had saved his daughter. At that time, he had never thought that Sui would be where he was today, and in such a short time. Sui's mind raced as he waved his hand and said, Sect leader Ji, that's not what I meant. It's just that I still have many things to do. I'm worried that I'll hold Miss Hanua back. Ji Tianfu's eyes softened as he sighed deeply. When I first built Xianjian sect, I was arrogant when I was young. I had many enemies. When Xianjian sect was first built, there were many things waiting to be done. I was often entangled with trivial matters and was not in the sect. Until one time, as Ji Tianfu spoke, he paused as if he had remembered something sad. After a few breaths, he calmed down and continued. One time, I went to explore a secret place. Han Nua's mother brought her child to stay at her mother's house. Along the way, the enemies attacked and killed 20 disciples of Xianjian sect. When I arrived, Han Nua's mother was protecting Han Nua tightly under her body. Han Nua's mother's cultivation was not high to begin with. She managed to hold on until I arrived. By then, Han Nua's mother was severely injured. Sect leader Ji. When Sui heard sect leader Ji talking about Han Nua's background, his handsome face was filled with sorrow. That was the pain that had been hidden in the depths of his heart for a lifetime. Sui immediately thought of the time when he was attacked in Man City. He turned into a blood-red god of war to protect Man City. At that time, his grandfather was the one that he was most worried about. This was the relationship between blood and flesh. In front of him was a heart-to-heart talk between 2 men. Both of them were powerful people in the outside world. Now, they were talking about the softest side of their hearts. Sui sat up and listened carefully. He did not dare to delay. This was a man's promise to his wife. It was also a man's protection for his daughter. In those few years, I traveled to the 6 continents and 3 continents. I tried my best to find all the spiritual herbs in the world. I only hoped that Han Nua's mother would not be tortured by her illness. But after a few years, Han Nua's mother passed away. At this point, after so many years, Ji Tianfu's brows were still filled with pain. Ji Tianfu's eyes became hollow as if he was mumbling to himself. Chapter 1345. Although Lightning Ceiling Valley is scary, it's also a good place to cultivate. But at the same time, it's also a good place to cultivate. There are pros and cons. Maybe Sect Master Su will benefit from it and your cultivation will increase greatly? Ji Tianfu looked at his daughter and started to panic. Miss Su Yi, I promise you that I will return in one piece. Look, I have never lied to you before, right? Su Yi's gaze became gentle as he walked forward and wiped away her tears. Facing Ji Han Nua, Su Yi knew that only with such a guarantee would she feel at ease. Ji Han Nua cried for a while, her watery eyes and face were filled with tears. She couldn't see Su Yi's handsome face clearly. Suddenly, she understood that she couldn't stop the man in front of her. Ever since they were chased by the Sea Dragon Gang, she knew that this man had too many burdens and had too many past. All she could do was accompany and wait for him. Feelings were truly a mysterious and indescribable thing. Ji Han Nua took a deep breath and calmed her heart. She extended her little finger and gestured towards Su Yi. Su Yi was somewhat startled. Pinky swear. The one who can't do it is a dog. Ji Han Nua pouted and said. Su Yi, who had lived 2 lives, his temperament and thoughts were far better than his peers. He immediately felt that the little girl in front of him was as innocent and cute as a child. All right, Pinky swear. Su Yi smiled and hooked his finger onto Ji Han Nua's hand. You can't change it. Ji Han Nua smiled through her tears. Her small and delicate face that was originally weeping suddenly surged with a smile. Her starry eyes sparkled as she smiled sweetly. Ji Tianfu was both angry and amused by his daughter. He immediately blew his beard and glared as he pretended to be angry and said, You're a girl, how can you cry endlessly? Daddy is the best. Ji Han Nua softly acted coquettishly as if she didn't have any bones. All right, let's not disturb Sect Master Su anymore. We should also return. So early? While I'm in the 9 Stars Valley, Sect Master Ji and the rest can stay for a few more days. I'll get Ning Yu and Big Brother to properly entertain you. Ji Tianfu smiled and rejected the offer. When Su Yi went to the 9 Stars Valley, the Xianjian sect, as an ally, would have to be prepared just in case. Su Yi was touched and immediately sent Sect Master Ji and Sect Master Li out of the sect. Before leaving, Ji Hanua's eyes were filled with reluctance to part with Su Yi, but when he thought of Su Yi's important matter, he could only give up and leave with Ji Tianfu. Su Yi, remember my promise. Ji Hanua's voice that was as soft as snow reverberated in the sky for a long time, lingering endlessly. Su Yi stared blankly at the horizon, slightly at a loss. Regarding Ji Hanua's feelings, whether it was a brother-sister relationship or a romantic one, Su Yi couldn't tell. If you don't like her, then reject her. Scumbag! Bastard! Ling Qianshue's faint voice sounded in his mind. Qianshue, you're awake? Su Yi said happily. I didn't sleep. Ling Qianshue said angrily. Then why didn't you answer me when I called you just now? Did I disturb your conversation with your father-in-law? Ling Qianshue immediately stopped talking. Su Yi was a little confused by the sudden outburst of anger and thought to himself. Why is this little kitty suddenly angry? I didn't do anything. If it weren't for the fact that I can't beat you, I would really drag you out and rub you on the ground. Su Yi ignored Ling Qianshue and turned to walk into the sect. Brother Su Yi. A soft call came from behind. It was Feng Qier. Qier? Why are you alone? Where's Big Brother? Master is at the back of the mountain. I listened to Master's instructions and went to the forest valley to cultivate the soul-cultivating pearl. Sui pondered and brought Feng Qi to the back of the mountain. At the back of the Bawang Sek's mountain, there were flocks of spiritual birds, flying across the cliff, beautiful waterfalls, and exotic flowers and plants. The surrounding savage beasts had already belonged to the Bawang Sek. The beasts roared and complimented the nature. It was a wild scene. In a wide area at the back of the mountain, Merciless West and Wuchang Fairy were arguing. I said, I'll go with Sui. Xiao Han, can you not get involved? Merciless West looked impatient and muttered, not daring to speak loudly. That's because you're capable. Don't think that you can leave me behind just because you're at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Let me tell you, don't ever think of leaving me behind again. Wuchang Fairy's beautiful eyes were burning with anger. Her voice gradually became louder. She had been searching for more than 20 years and finally found Merciless West. How could she let him go? Ever since she had joined the Bawang sect, Wuchang Fairy and Merciless West had been together every day. I didn't mean that. Don't you know where the 9 Stars Valley is? Sui and I are going there for official business. All right, Merciless West, you bastard. You just want to leave me behind. All right, come. Let's fight. If you win, I won't go. Just as she finished speaking, Wuchang Fairy's energy surged under her feet. With a wave of her sleeves, a vast amount of energy flew towards Merciless West. The space suddenly became like a ball of energy light waves, rapidly compressing and expanding, forming a small energy storm. Gravel surged, and the surrounding trees were instantly turned into fine powder. Merciless West's energy surged under her feet. She flipped a few times in the air and retreated rapidly, dodging all of Wuchang Fairy's attack. All right, Old Man West, are you looking down on me? Wuchang Fairy saw that Merciless West was dodging her attacks, and her anger grew. She flipped her palms, and an even more vigorous energy was pushed out in the air. It was like a ferocious energy sword that slashed towards Merciless West. Little Han, why are you doing this? Merciless West shouted as she dodged. Sounds of fighting could be heard from the forest. Huge energy waves destroyed the ground, and cracks began to appear, spreading out like a spider web. Tsk tisk. Sui stood on a high ground with Feng Qi, and he was shocked. This woman really can't be messed with. Women are the most terrifying existences. What 9 Stars Valley? It's not as scary as Sister Han. Sui was horrified. Bastard, why aren't you coming down to help me? It's all because of you. Merciless West saw Sui standing in the distance with his hands behind his back. His face was pale, and his continuous dodging had left Merciless West battered and exhausted. Hitting is a sign of affection, scolding is a sign of love. Sui was sitting on top of the mountain and watching the tigers fight. He was happy to be free, and he would joke from time to time. Merciless West didn't dare to yell at Wuchang Fairy, but she could vent her anger on Sui. Hurry up. Little Han, I don't dare to fight back. Do you believe that I will hit you later? Fine. Sui spread his hands. Merciless West's cultivation of 9th level Origin Emperor realm was no joke. Sui walked down slowly with Feng Qi. When Wuchang Fairy saw Sui and Feng Qi's background, she immediately stopped. However, she was still angry, and her beautiful eyes were cold. Greetings, Sister Han. Humph. Wuchang Fairy glanced at Sui and turned her face away. Chapter 1346. Greetings, Mistress. When Feng Qi addressed her as Mistress, the anger on Impermanence Fairy's face melted away. Qi, you're here. Come, follow Mistress over there. Old men and rascals are all bad. Let's go back to the front mountain and have a chat. As soon as she finished speaking, she pulled Feng Qi towards the front mountain. Feng Qie glanced at Sui and Sui smiled at her. Feng Qie then followed Impermanence Fairy and left. As the two walked away, Sui quietly approached Merciless West and pretended to be mysterious. Big brother, what did you do to make Sister Han angry? Merciless West pushed Sui away, patted the dust off her clothes, and glared at him. Go away, it's all because of you. Me? Sui was puzzled. He had just arrived. After understanding why the two of them were fighting, Sui couldn't stop laughing. He laughed so hard that his stomach hurt. Bastard, your big brother was almost beaten to death and you're still laughing? Go away. Merciless West looked at Sui's carefree attitude and became even angrier. Even if you beat him to death, you're murdering your own husband. Big brother, aren't you secretly happy? Stop talking nonsense. Tell me, how are you going to 9 Stars Valley? Who's going? Of course, we're all going. Sui was puzzled. Merciless West frowned and said faintly, 9 Stars Valley? Don't you know what kind of place it is? Why are you letting little Han go? Sui straightened his expression and his gaze trembled. 9 Stars Valley is obviously for me. Big brother, you're worried about me, and Sister Han is worried about you. Naturally, we have to go. If something really happened, none of you would be sitting around in the Bawang sect. It's better to go together. Merciless West pondered silently. Sui then told Merciless West about Ji Tianfu. Merciless West nodded in approval. Does Big Brother think so too? And recently when I was refining pills, I did feel that there was a change in the weather. As for whether or not the 9 stars brilliant moon was brought forward, I still have to calculate it accurately. Looks like I definitely have to enter the Thunder Sealing Valley this time. The dragon scale grass that I promised Big Brother, there's hope this time. The dragon scale grass is secondary. I'm worried about your safety, Merciless West said worriedly as he took out his wine pot and gulped down a few mouthfuls of wine. Don't worry, Big Brother, I have a protective talisman, Sui said mysteriously. Merciless West looked at Sui and didn't continue asking. This kid had too many treasures and he was already used to it. Big Brother, during the time that I'm not around, Feng Qie will temporarily take over the responsibility of the Shadow Hall Master. The Bawang sect is in need of talent. Feng Qie is kind-hearted and should be trained as soon as possible to understand the world. She is the most suitable person to take over the Shadow Hall. Merciless West's heart wavered. Sui was indeed becoming more and more mature. He was fearless in the face of danger and making the best use of his talents. After that, Sui and Merciless West returned to the house at the back of the mountain. Situ Muyang and Tang Wang were still discussing martial arts. Elder Tang, we will set off early tomorrow morning. My big brother, Impermanence Fairy, the Green Emperor, and the Yin and Ming Emperors will go with us. Although there weren't many people, all of them were at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. This was already the strongest lineup in the Bawang sect. Tang Wang nodded slightly and made up his mind. If anything happened to Sui, he would risk his life to protect him. Sect Master Su, all right. I will return to the sect to make preparations. I reckon the sect master already knows that you are going to enter the valley. Both Wuqing and Wuchang know where the 9 Stars Valley is. I will not be leading the way. Thank you for your help. Tang Wang cupped his fist and bowed to the two of them. The two of them nodded in response. What about me? What about me? Situ Muyang said anxiously. Aren't you going back to the Xinjian Gate? Sui pretended to be angry. Situ Muyang pouted and a trace of anxiety flashed across his innocent face as he said anxiously. I came out to explore the world with Junior Martial Uncle. I didn't see anything and didn't help you. I'm not going back. Situ Muyang crossed his arms in front of his chest and said unhappily. Sui shook his head and smiled bitterly. This little guy was also a stubborn guy. The Thunder Sealing Valley was filled with danger. At the same time, it was also very beneficial for cultivation. It would be very beneficial for his future cultivation. When we reach the 9 Stars Valley, listen to my arrangements. Don't act on your own. Sui had no choice but to compromise. Alright. Just like the Myriad Sword Conference. Junior Martial Uncle, let's go and snatch another wave. Situ Muyang immediately became happy. To be able to fight side by side with Sui again was something that Situ Muyang had always longed for. Listen to my instructions. The 9 Stars Valley is a first-rate force in the Chaos region. If anything happens, Sect Master Situ won't be there to protect us. Situ Muyang's expression immediately turned serious, and he said seriously, Junior Martial Uncle, I understand. After that, Sui asked everyone to go back to rest and prepare for tomorrow's trip to the 9 Stars Valley. After bidding farewell, Tang Wang turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the distant sky. Sui, on the other hand, returned to the front mountain and made arrangements for the Overlord sect during his final stay. He instructed Huang Jian to increase the intensity and scale of the martial hall's training so that the Overlord sect's disciples could quickly integrate into the Overlord sect's construction and abandon their undisciplined style as a rogue cultivator. He gave a portion of the elixirs that he had cultivated in the mysterious space to the Thunder Cloud Crane. The Thunder Cloud Crane was overjoyed. Not only were the elixirs cultivated in the mysterious space perfect, but they were also much better than ordinary elixirs after a second cultivation. At the same time, the Thunder Cloud Crane looked through the points plan that Jin Tang had submitted. It required every disciple to travel and train and accept missions to increase their fame in the Chaos realm. At night, Sui was in his room. He entered the mysterious space once again. A thick wave of spiritual qi rushed towards him. Beside the small pool of spiritual qi, Su Xiaoshui was still unconscious. Divine light rippled around his body. The mysterious fiery red talisman on his small body? Shimmering with holy light, Su Xiaoshui's body was sparkling and translucent, like a little doll made of jade. Sui touched his chubby head and picked up 2 empty bottles. He filled one bottle with spiritual qi and gently fed it to Su Xiaoshui. Then, he filled the other 2 bottles with spiritual qi. What do you want this for? Ling Qianxue asked, puzzled. I'm prepared. Su-yi smiled gently. Can you really recover faster here? Su-yi's eyes flickered. Yes, the spiritual qi here is old and rich. My remnant soul can recover faster. Do you want me to recover faster? Ling Qianxue didn't know why she suddenly said this. Of course. Only when you recover can I see you. Su-yi's eyes were like torches. He said naturally and sat down cross-legged. Do you say this to everyone? Ling Qianxue's delicate eyes flashed with starlight. You're speaking strangely today. You exploded your spiritual qi to save me. I've been feeling very bad. Naturally, I have to help you recover. So that's how it is? Ling Qianxue's voice trembled with a trace of undetectable disappointment. Isn't it? Hurry up and rest. I need to recover. I have important things to do tomorrow. Chapter 1347. Looking at the Bawang sect from afar, the sky, water, and mountains were far away. The vast forest was covered with a layer of golden veil, revealing a solemn scene. The towering and uneven mountains and cliffs were shining. Under the reflection of the morning sun, the forest looked like Ming, Nai, Jiao, Ai, Shellfish, Shellfish, Shellfish. Stupid falcon base at the foot of the mountain, looking back at the sect, the mountains were lush and green. The towering ancient trees and the azure sky were like ribbons. The ribbon-like clouds naturally painted a natural and wild scene. The countless peaks of the Bawang sect looked like they were sleeping. The azure sky quietly nestled by the side of the mountains. The Bawang sect stood tall. The huge stone in front of the gate was majestic and imposing. The Green Emperor and the Yin Ming Emperor were already waiting in front of the gate. Their eyes were solemn. The Ming Emperor squinted her beautiful eyes and kept playing with her hair. Under the light clouds, Sui arrived with the wind. He changed out of his sect master uniform and wore a dark purple robe. He was waiting in front of the gate early. Yesterday, Tang Wang had already left 9 Stars Valley and returned to the sect. Today was the day that Sui would go to 9 Stars Valley. "Brat, you've come quite early." Shi Wuqing uncorked the wine and leisurely took a sip. Then, he slowly walked down from a distance. Merciless West was followed by Impermanence Fairy and Situ Muyang. "Big brother, you're too slow," Sui said helplessly. Merciless West rolled his eyes and shook his head. "It's just 9 Stars Valley. I don't even care about Sky Dragon sect. Why should I be afraid of 9 Stars Valley?" A disdainful breath came out of his mouth. Sui smiled bitterly. Sui understood his big brother's temper the best. Back when he was at the Origin Emperor realm, he wasn't afraid of Lord Fire Dragon. Now that his strength had increased tremendously, he looked down on ordinary sections. However, if Merciless West had her eyes set on someone, it would be Sincere. Sui was touched by the friendship between him and his elder brother. "When we reach the 9 Stars Valley, we'll act according to the circumstances." Sui turned around and said in a deep voice. "Okay." The other 6 people responded. The 9 Star Valley was located in the southwest corner of the Chaos region. It was shrouded in clouds and mist all year round. It was a deep valley, and the 9 valleys were close to each other. It was secluded and quiet, and there were many streams flowing through it. The 9 Stars Valley dealt with the Big Dipper all year round. 7 of the Big Dipper's 9 stars were visible while the rest were hidden. The starlight was enchanting and gentle, and the power of the stars was constantly revolving above the valley. The mysterious power of the stars and the valley complemented each other. The 9 mountain valleys were majestic and magnificent, the mountain peaks towering straight into the clouds. Verdant vast heaven ancient trees grew on the unbroken mountain range. The dark blue river turned into a transparent and sparkling brocade under the sunlight. 2 days passed by quickly. The speed of the 9th level of the Origin Sovereign Realm was extremely fast. Even though the Chaos region was incomparably vast, Sui and the others arrived at the entrance of the 9 Stars Valley in an instant. The 9 Stars Valley was protected by a barrier that didn't allow outsiders to fly directly into the valley. Sui and the others landed and walked into the valley. The group of 7 people walked leisurely. "Move aside." Dozens of miles away, a group of people behind them suddenly rushed forward. The person in the lead opened up a path, stirring up a cloud of dust. The clamor shook the sky. "Someone is coming." Sui's eyes darkened slightly. "Giddy up." Sui saw the person who was about to arrive. He was riding on a tall barbaric demonic beast. He looked straight ahead and was looking at Sui, who was about to collide with him. His eyes were filled with disdain and contempt. When he saw Sui and the others from afar, he didn't dodge. Instead, he urged his barbaric demonic beast to gallop over. "Get lost. If you want to live, move aside." The person in the lead was dressed in black with a red sun on his chest. His eyes were overflowing with coldness. When the barbaric demonic beast's huge leg was about to stomp down, Sui's lips curled into a smile. "Wind Wing Spider Wolf. 5th level Demon Void Stage. Not bad. Looks like it's not only my Bawang sect that entered the valley this time." Merciless West's expression was calm, but his eyes were filled with coldness. "Don't worry. Let me do it, big brother." It was just a Demon Void Stage barbaric demonic beast. Why would an Origin Emperor Stage powerhouse make a move? Chi. Sui waved his hand. When the barbaric demonic beast was about to land, Sui circulated the Origin Supreme technique. A powerful energy burst out like an energy whirlpool and attacked the barbaric demonic beast with an unparalleled pressure. "Ow-woo!" The barbaric demonic beast acted as if it was facing a great enemy. It raised its front paw. When the whirlpool-like energy touched the barbaric demonic beast let out a furious roar and retreated abruptly. It drew a deep gully on the ground and knelt down in front of Sui. The person on the back of the wind-wing spider-wolf quickly jumped down from the wind-wing spider-wolf. His eyes were filled with killing intent. To be able to cause such a huge reaction from the wind-wing spider-wolf, the person in the lead was extremely vigilant. 5th level Origin Void Stage. Not bad. Sui casually glanced at the person on the back of the wind-wing spider-wolf. However, he did not care. It was just an Origin Void Stage cultivation. If he wanted to kill it, it would be a piece of cake. How dare you block the path of the Crimson Sun sect? Are you tired of living? The Crimson Sun sect disciple sneered disdainfully. Crimson Sun sect? I don't know, Sui said indifferently. Situmuyang stood behind Sui. He was already bold, so he was even more fearless. Get lost. Don't pollute the air here. What are you? You don't even know the Crimson Sun sect? How dare a mere person like you walk the same path as my Crimson Sun sect? The road leads to the sky, and we walk on different sides. Does your family own this road? Sui asked with interest. His expression was calm. But you're still at the Origin Void Stage. You're courting death. Situmuyang was the young lord of the Central Continent's Xinjiang Gate after all. He had never suffered such humiliation before. Anyone in the Chaos region dared to be so rude to him. How dare you? Get out of the way immediately. My sex experts are right behind you. Get lost if you know what's good for you. A smile flashed across Suyi's lips. He glanced at Yin Ming, who was beside him. Yin Ming immediately understood. Yin Ming was dressed in a black dress. The satin belt on her waist outlined her figure clearly. Her waist was so small that it could not be held in one arm. She exuded a sexy and seductive aura. Her eyes were extremely charming as she walked towards the Crimson Sun sect disciple leisurely. Io, where did this little brother come from? Such a temper. When the Green Emperor saw how seductive Yin Ming was, a ripple flashed across his long and narrow eyes. The Crimson Sun sect disciple was dumbfounded. The Crimson Sun sect disciples who pursued martial arts wholeheartedly had never had such an experience. The Crimson Sun sect disciple's eyes widened as he swallowed his saliva. Little girl, you're quite pretty. Get these people to get lost. Why don't you have a chat with me? A hint of lust flashed across the Crimson Sun sect disciple's eyes as he looked at Yin Ming wretchedly. Little brother, you're in such a hurry. But what's that saying again? What's a hot tofu that can't be eaten? As Yin Ming spoke, she wrapped her jade-like hands around the Crimson Sun sect disciple's body. Haste makes waste? The Crimson Sun sect disciple was aroused by Yin Ming's teasing. Chapter 1350. Bang! Energy surged in all directions. In an instant, clouds moved in all directions. Monstrous waves howled as a ferocious aura surged in all directions like a ring of energy. Swoosh! The entire scene was dazzling. Those with lower cultivations felt dizzy and groaned in pain under the impact of the energy. So powerful! Who lost? Everyone opened their eyes wide as they sensed the spirit energy waves in the center of the dust. Dust flew everywhere and the entrance of the Nine Stars Valley was filled with flying sand. In the hazy air, a figure retreated rapidly in the air like a kite with a broken string. A mist of blood splattered in the air. Young Sect Master, a Origin Grandmaster of the Crimson Sun sect, flashed to where Luan Shuo had fallen and helped him up. At this moment, a trail of blood flowed from the corner of Luan Shuo's mouth. His body was covered in a fiery red armor that wrapped tightly around him as if it was alive. The armor that rippled with divine light was still covered in cracks. It was obvious that it had suffered a great impact. Luan Shua's eyes were cold and filled with extreme shock. His eyes twitched and he was extremely shocked. His right hand hung down and his fingers curled slightly as he trembled. How can he be so powerful? In the Crimson Sun sect, Luan Shua was already invincible among the younger generation. The person in front of him looked thin and weak. His cultivation was only one level higher than his, but his physical strength was too terrifying. Luan Shua felt as if he had hit a mountain and was sent flying. "Are you all right, sect master?" A white-haired elder beside him asked in a deep voice. "I'm fine." Luan Shua wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were sharp and filled with killing intent as he swallowed a mouthful of blood. "Kid, what's your name?" The Origin Grandmaster's face was dark. The strength of the kid in front of him was beyond his expectations. Merciless West drank a mouthful of wine and muttered to himself, "By Shuzi. Why is he here? Seems like the Crimson Sun sect is taking him seriously. A loser. I'll still kill you with one palm even if you enter the Origin Grandmaster realm." Impermanence Fairy's face was cold. It was obvious that she hated the Crimson Sun sect to the core and did not care about the expert's cultivation. The second-rate forces watching the battle from the sidelines were all dumbfounded. Sure Susu's moon-like eyes were frosty, and she was even more surprised. He had become stronger again. Sure Susu had come out of the secret realm by herself. Her sect had helped her recover from the soul injury and consumed many yellow-grade elixirs. And finally, her cultivation had improved, by leaps and bounds. Su-Yi stood at his original spot, extremely satisfied with the Yuanyang Heavenly Dragon Bone. Luan Shua's attack just now was no small matter. And, of such a huge energy. Of Su-Yi. Su-Yi stepped forward. The origin chi around him surged and filled the air. He looked coldly at the people of the Crimson Sun sect. "Master, let me do it," the Green Emperor said to Su-Yi secretly. He was expressionless. Su-Yi waved his hand. This was the territory of the Nine-Star Valley. He had killed Origin Grandmasters before. Su-Yi was not afraid. "You arrogant brats, die." The Origin Grandmasters of the Crimson Sun sect had never been humiliated like this by juniors. Cold light shone from them. Their killing intent surged. In the blink of an eye, Bai Shuzi's vigorous primordial chi surged out, and his figure soared into the sky. With a sweep of the horsetail whisk in his hand, a ferocious light wave tore through the air and slashed violently at Su-Yi. It was like an incomparably sturdy and gigantic sword light. It was incomparably sharp and carried with it a monstrous might. The space seemed to have been torn apart as ripples appeared in the space. Break. Just as Su-Yi was about to gather his origin chi to fight back, a strong wind blew behind him. A slender figure soared into the sky, and the rumbling sound of his aura could be heard incessantly. When the huge sword ray was still 2 feet away from Su-Yi, it suddenly disappeared into nothingness. Su-Yi looked back. Impermanence Fairy was standing in the air. Her eyes were like torches as she stared at Bai Shuzi. "Bai Shuer, you're so capable," Impermanence Fairy said. "Senior Sister Xiaohan." Bai Shuzi was overjoyed when he saw Impermanence Fairy standing in the clouds. Her figure was so familiar. "Don't call me Xiaohan. I'm very good. You've embarrassed the sect. Have you been reduced to being an elder of such a small sect?" "Xiaohan, I." Bai Shuzi looked at Impermanence Fairy, whose clothes were fluttering in the wind. He did not know how to respond. Looking at Shi Wuqing behind him, a glint flashed across Bai Shuzi's complicated eyes. "Shi Wuqing? I thought the recent rumors in the Chaos Realm were fake. So you two are really together?" Bai Shuzi's pupils contracted as a violent energy burst out from his body along with his yuan qi. "Old acquaintances?" Su-Yi raised his eyebrows. "There must be a lot of grudges between the three." Su-Yi took a step back. Bai Shuzi's eyes were dark as he laughed. So, you're that Sui. Everyone says you're a peerless genius. Let's see if you can take a few moves from me. Merciless West opened her gourd and took a few more gulps. Her pupils contracted, and her face turned cold. Bai Shuzi, it has been so many years. Apart from fanning the flames, when did you learn to brag? Merciless West turned around in the air. Her eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. Ha! With a loud shout, Shi Wuqing's body shone with dazzling light as he stood in the air. Yuan Qi surged beneath his feet as he formed hand seals. A huge shadow of a ferocious snake appeared in the void around him. The snake flicked its blood-red tongue, looking extremely ferocious. The void shook and its aura filled the sky. Flipping the air, the serpent's silhouette pounced straight at White Shuzi like a waterfall. Bai Shuzi's expression was extremely serious. A white light rippled in front of him, as if he was covered in a thick layer of armor. The snake was like a dragon coming out of its cave. The terrifying shadow fell on Bai Shuzi with an aura that could devour everything. Mystical Yin Fire Snake. Wei Hong and everyone else tried to resist with their minds. The mystical Yin Fire Snake surrounded Bai Shuzi with extreme heat. The incomparably high temperature was like a soul attack that shot straight into everyone's hearts. Is this the power of a heaven-grade soul controller? Wei Hong looked at Merciless West's power in disbelief. Meanwhile, Bai Shuzi, who was enveloped by the shadow, was even more horrified. The monstrous shadow had an extremely strong devouring ability, and it directly absorbed Bai Shuzi's absolute domain. Bai Shuzi could feel the primordial qi in his body flowing away like water. Bai Shuzi screamed at the top of his lungs, "Merciless West, impossible! How did you break through so much?" Shi Wuqing suddenly roared. Then, he turned into a shadow in the air and flew toward Bai Shuzi. Chapter 1351. Shi Wuqing's strength was indeed unimaginable in the eyes of outsiders. He had been at the third level of the Origin Emperor realm for the past few decades, but he was able to fight Lord Fire Dragon without being in a disadvantageous position by using the Soul Controller Master's means. That was until he met Sui. With the support of the spiritual liquid, Merciless West's cultivation had increased tremendously. It was definitely a piece of cake for Merciless West to face an expert at the first level of the Origin Ancestor realm. Why? Bai Shuzi's veins were bulging as he was entangled by the white shadow. You are greedy and impatient. Do you think you can compete with me? Merciless West's eyes darkened as he came before Bai Shuzi. Slap! A painful groan was heard as Bai Shuzi's left cheek was immediately marked with an eye-catching palm print. It was slightly red and swollen, and the sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard. This is the slap you used to frame me back then. Everyone was a little stunned by the sudden slap. They all stood solemnly on the spot, stupefied and silent, quietly watching the dispute between Shi Wuqing and Bai Shuzi. Slap! Bai Shuzi's right cheek was immediately slapped. His right cheek immediately swelled up as blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. His body was trembling uncontrollably. Bai Shuzi, who was tightly bound by the shadow of the dark Yin raging fire serpent, felt his yuan energy and strength gradually dissipating. He could only watch as Shi Wuqing's palms landed on him one after another. He clenched his fists tightly and dug them into his flesh. You! Just as Bai Shuzi was about to scream, Merciless West's steel-like fingers came at him again. Slap! Slap! Then, he slapped both sides of Shi Wuqing's left and right side. A small black shadow slid down from the sky and landed on the ground. It was obviously a few teeth. Sui and the rest were dazzled by the scene. Merciless West, who was at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, was actually able to tie up and slap an Origin Ancestor realm expert. What kind of experience was that? It felt so good. Sui looked at Bai Shuzi, who was on the verge of death. Bai Shuzi's eyes were filled with rage, but there was nothing he could do. It felt so good. Merciless West glared at Bai Shuzi coldly. These 2 slaps are the reason why Xiao Han and I were separated for 20 years. 1 slap every 10 years. You're lucky. Impermanence Fairy, who was not far away, felt her heart tremble. Every detail of the past 20 years seemed to appear in her mind. Her eyes became misty, but her gaze was clear. This old bastard, all these years of searching for him were not in vain. How dare you say you don't like me? Impermanence Fairy felt a lump in her throat as she looked at the man she had been thinking about day and night. He was like an unparalleled hero. It was like a dream. White Shuzi was already seeing stars after being beaten up by Merciless West. His face was swollen and his nose was bruised. Bang! A muffled thud echoed out as the powerful punch landed squarely on Bai Shuzi's chest. Caca blood sprayed out from Bai Shuzi's mouth as he felt 2 of his ribs break. His face was filled with pain. This is what you get for betraying Xiao Han's sect. I'm punching you on behalf of Xiao Han. Bang! Before White Shuzi could react, Merciless West's expression changed drastically. A terrifying aura surged out from him. Another heavy punch. Yuan Qi surged on his right fist, releasing a dazzling light. A gust of wind-breaking aura came crashing down. 2 more of Bai Shuzi's ribs were broken. His face was distorted and he was about to collapse. This is what you get for speaking rudely just now. You don't have the right to point fingers at my woman. Merciless West sneered, as if he was looking at an ant. Wow, Big Brother is so domineering. Sui felt great watching from the side. He had known Big Brother for so long, but it was the first time he saw Big Brother vent his anger on someone's behalf. She then looked at Impermanence Fairy and gently turned her head away. 2 lines of tears flowed down her cheeks. While no one was looking, she secretly wiped her tears away. My woman! More than 20 years. Yu Qiuhan had waited for 20 years. She had finally heard those words. Sui also felt gratified. A person worth loving was finally matched with someone worth waiting for. After the storm, neither of them let the other down. Now, this was what true love was like. Bai Shuzi was already on the verge of death. Luan Shuo was even more shocked when he saw the Origin Ancestor powerhouse unable to fight back. Merciless West, Impermanence Fairy, Yu Qiuhan, and King of Geniuses, Sui. Luan Shuo couldn't believe that he had encountered these freaks. He was now suffering in silence. While he was in a daze, an earth-shattering sound was heard. Luan Shuo's expression changed drastically, his eyes filled with shock. Bai Shuzi, who was in a towering rage, narrowed his eyes. The vast aura was incomparably vigorous, making him, who was on the verge of death, tremble. Boom! Merciless West floated in the air. Vitality surged as she formed hand seals. A vast and sacred soul energy began to fluctuate between her eyebrows. An ancient aura spread behind her as the shadow of a flood dragon broke through the air behind Merciless West. Roar! The flood dragon roared and shone brightly. Its majestic aura was old and strong, as if it had traveled through time and space. It was wrapped in an unparalleled killing intent as it charged toward Bai Shuzi. The flood dragon soared into the sky, attacking the heavens and the earth. Its aura soared into the sky. It was filled with a monstrous power. A battle between an Origin Emperor and an Origin Ancestor wasn't something that ordinary people could interfere in. The people on the side retreated, including Luan Shuo, who was quickly brought away by the powerhouses of the sect. Luan Shuo's heart was heavy. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to protect Bai Shuzi today. Bai Shuzi was an expert that his father had spent a lot of effort to rope in. Luan Shuo was worried about how to explain this to his father when he returned. You! Bai Shuzi's eyes narrowed. The faintly discernible flood dragon in his eyes was charging at him. It grew bigger and bigger as it approached. Baishuzi's lifeless eyes stared at the flood dragon charging at him. He gathered the last of his vitality and gathered it at his chest. Wuching, don't kill him! Impermanence Fairy shouted from behind at the last moment. Merciless West obeyed Impermanence Fairy's words. When the flood dragon was just a little bit away from Baishuzi, she withdrew a part of her power. The rest of the power was like a collapsing mountain as it hit Baishuzi's body like a giant dragon swallowing the sky. Bang! The flood dragon rolled, shaking the heavens and the earth, causing the mountains to tremble. Baishuzi's chest immediately caved in. The sound of bones dislocating could be heard. A terrifying arc was formed at his chest, and it was close to his back. Fortunately, Baishuzi's last bit of vitality protected his chest. Otherwise, he would have died on the spot. Soon after, Baishuzi fainted. He fell to his knees and fell to the ground. Blood gushed out of his body. The wind from her palm was ferocious, and it carried a monstrous aura. It created a small tornado in the valley, causing the small valley to tremble. The surrounding mountains gradually began to crack. Giant rocks kept sliding down and trees collapsed. They were all turned into dust by the wind. Merciless West's face was solemn. Her weathered face hid a cold aura. She took a deep breath and withdrew her handprint. The shadow immediately disappeared on the spot. This is the last time to tell you that you don't deserve to call her Xiaohan. Merciless West's expression was cold. She looked at the fainted Baishuzi on the ground. She could think of the 20 years she and Yu Qiuhan spent chasing each other. Chapter 1352. The entire front mountain of the 9 Stars Valley was silent. Only the sound of Luan Shua's heavy breathing could be heard. Big Brother is so powerful. Su Yi raised his eyebrows at Merciless West. Merciless West smiled. When he passed by Su Yi, he said in a low voice, "I'll leave the rest to you." Su Yi nodded and walked towards Luan Shua. When he came to Impermanence Fairy's side, Impermanence Fairy's eyes were sparkling. Her gentle and beautiful face was hazy like mist. Looking at the man in front of her from young to middle-aged, Impermanence Fairy's beautiful face was filled with tears again. I won't hit you anymore." Impermanence Fairy choked and said in a moment of desperation. Merciless West looked at Yu Qiuhan. His eyes trembled. He sighed and said softly, "Silly girl, I'd rather you hit me for the rest of my life." Impermanence Fairy couldn't hold it in any more. She buried her head in Merciless West's chest. Merciless West's chiseled face flashed with gentleness. He patted Impermanence Fairy's back gently. "Okay, it's all in the past." Merciless West comforted Impermanence Fairy gently. "Baishuer won't die, right?" Impermanence Fairy's voice trembled. Her beautiful eyes were cold. "No, I've held back. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for him to recover." Merciless West's eyes darkened. He knew that Yu Qiuhan still had some feelings for Baishuzi. Impermanence Fairy, who was leaning on Merciless West's shoulder, gradually lost her vision. A trace of deep sorrow emerged in the depths of her eyes. The past floated in her heart. Baishuzi and Impermanence Fairy were originally from the same sect, and they had the same master. Baishuzi was talented and intelligent, and he had loved Impermanence Fairy since he was young. However, Impermanence Fairy was cold and proud, and her talent was unparalleled. She was the #1 prodigy of the sect. Perhaps every woman would meet a prodigal son in her life. Merciless West became an indelible spring scene in Yu Qiuhan's life. One day, Impermanence Fairy, who had just returned from her training, began to feel restless. She kept muttering the name Merciless West. Since then, the man that Impermanence Fairy yearned for day and night was none other than Merciless West. Yu Qiuhan, who had always been on good terms with Baishuzi, told Baishuzi all about her daughter's thoughts. From then on, Baishuzi's heart was filled with hatred. However, the heavens were playing tricks on him. When he was young, Shi Wuching was unrestrained and carefree. He was also indifferent to matters of the heart. Merciless West had broken Impermanence Fairy's heart countless times. Baishuzi cultivated day and night in order to defeat Merciless West and prove to Yu Chiohan that he was better than her sweetheart. When Baishuzi first met Merciless West, he realized that Merciless West was inferior to him in every aspect. However, his senior sister was still deeply in love with Merciless West, and she only treated him as her younger brother. However, the quality of Merciless West's soul was too high. She was saved from death's door time and time again, trampling on his dignity time and time again. This made Baishuzi hate Merciless West even more. Hatred went to his head, and he set up a series of schemes to frame Merciless West. Baishuzi made a deal with Sky Dragon Sect. Sky Dragon Sect would find their sect's forbidden technique for him, and he would trick Merciless West into joining Sky Dragon Sect. During a competition, Baishuzi told Merciless West that Impermanence Fairy liked Sky Dragon Sect's broken snow-glazed cup. Merciless West went to Sky Dragon Sect to get it for Impermanence Fairy. However, Sky Dragon Sect had long been in cahoots with Baishuzi. There was no such thing as the broken snow-glazed cup, only Sky Dragon Sect's tricks and threats. In a moment of desperation, Merciless West wreaked havoc in Sky Dragon Sect, and her name as Yama spread across the entire continent. When Impermanence Fairy went into seclusion, Baishuzi and Sky Dragon Sect chased after Merciless West. Later, Baishuzi mastered the forbidden technique, and his cultivation skyrocketed. He knocked Merciless West into a deep valley, and Merciless West fell into despair for a period of time. When Impermanence Fairy came out of seclusion, the matter was exposed, and Baishuzi was chased out of the sect. Impermanence Fairy was dejected. She stepped into Sky Dragon Sect and began to search for Merciless West to the ends of the earth. The endless pursuit made Merciless West go from being high-spirited to being carefree and slovenly. The terrifying power of Sky Dragon Sect and Merciless West's self-destruction were all because Merciless West hoped that Impermanence Fairy would stop searching for her. Unexpectedly, fate made a fool of people. What should be found would be found in the end. Baishwer also received the punishment she deserved. What's mine will always be mine. Thinking back to the past few decades that had passed like spring water, Impermanence Fairy's gaze became serious, and she grabbed the man in front of her tightly. This time, they would never let go of each other's hands. Sui, what are you trying to do? Luan Shua's voice was still trembling under the encirclement of experts. Sui smiled and walked towards Luan Shua step by step. In the eyes of Luan Shua, Sui was no less than a demon from hell. Knowing that the young man just now was the new devil incarnate of the Chaos region, and that the Jade Tripod sect, which was also a second-rate force, was destroyed, Luan Shua was filled with regret. In front of everyone's eyes, Luan Shua was still stubborn and said hatefully, "I'm the young sect master of the Crimson Sun sect. My mother is from the 9 Stars Valley. This is the 9 Stars Valley. Do you still want to kill me?" Luan Shua spoke without thinking. Bean-sized beads of sweat kept falling, and his lips were pale. The fear from the bottom of his heart made Luan Shua's legs tremble. Ha ha ha! Sui laughed wildly. His eyes were as cold as ice diamonds. He looked around at the people of the Crimson Sun sect and snorted coldly. You can't beat them, so you want to use your father and mother? The young sect master of the Crimson Sun sect is only SOSO. Sui said with a sigh. As soon as he finished speaking, the people of the second-rate forces and the Blue Cloud Palace all had looks of disdain on their faces. During this time, some young disciples laughed and discussed. Is that person Sui? Wow, so handsome. Wasn't that Luan Shu very arrogant just now? The Crimson Sun sect is nothing. Sui can destroy the Jade Tripod Alchemy clan with a flip of his hand. What is the Crimson Sun sect? The few Crimson Sun sect elites who were tightly blocking Luan Shua behind them looked nervous. Young sect master, We don't have to be afraid of him. The people from the 9 Stars Valley will be here soon. Let's see what he can do. It won't be long. Yes, don't worry, young sect master. There are so many of us. How can we overturn the situation? After an elite finished speaking, the vitality in his hands kept stirring. His footsteps were light, and his eyes were fixed on Sui. Why aren't the people from the 9 Stars Valley here yet? Luan Shua also started to feel anxious. His brows were knitted together. Logically speaking, they should have arrived long ago. Sui looked coldly at the people of the Crimson Sun sect. The cold light was like a sword that pierced into everyone's hearts. He slowly extended 3 fingers in the air and looked at the people of the Crimson Sun sect. I will count to 3. If you don't block my way, I won't attack. Luan Shua was flustered and exasperated. His skin immediately turned red as he roared. Sui, don't you go too far. Sui ignored him and said disdainfully, as if he didn't hear him. 3. The elites looked at each other. Their pupils contracted, and they didn't know what to do. Everyone, listen up. Sui is just bluffing. The people from the 9 Stars Valley will be here in a moment. Sui had a faint smile on his face. The air around his body surged, and the fire attribute vitality slowly spread to his palms. The joints all over his body crackled, bringing with them a chilling sonic boom. Chapter 1354. In the blink of an eye, Suyi's eyes flickered with dazzling light like lightning. His hair fluttered behind him with a majestic aura as though he was enraged by thunder. The essence chi around him surged. The fiery red essence chi suffused with a faint golden brilliance as though he was wearing a divine ring and intertwined with divine chains. Bang! Both sides confronted each other for a breath of time. The earth attribute essence chi whirlpool under Suyi's feet swept out like a gale, creating a huge tornado that wreaked havoc in the surroundings. Many trees were bent by the gale. Gulp, someone at the side swallowed his saliva. Is this really the cultivation of the origin void realm? Fighting force with force and not falling into a disadvantageous position at all. How strong is this guy? Between the origin void realm and the origin sovereign realm, every small stage represented the difference in strength. Every major stage was a huge ravine that was difficult to cross. Even if it was the 9th level of the origin void realm and the 1st level of the origin sovereign realm, there was a qualitative difference in strength. Su Yi's great void deep sea was filled with essence chi like a surging river. His flesh and blood were wrapped by the remnant soul of the golden dragon. His bones were even nourished by the immemorial golden dragon. His body that was originally comparable to a demon race's cub was now comparable to a true demon race's sovereign. Ordinary origin sovereign realm cultivators couldn't hurt Su Yi at all. Young martial granduncle's cultivation speed, Sai. Situmuyang was shocked to see Su Yi using his physical body to resist a 5th-level origin sovereign realm expert. Thinking about the increasing gap between them, he couldn't help but feel dispirited. Merciless West's gaze was like a cold sword as he took another gulp of wine and murmured, "This brat's physical strength is too terrifying." Su-Yi raised his eyebrows. Although his strength had increased greatly, he couldn't delay any longer and had to end the battle quickly. Su-Yi took advantage of the situation and stretched out his hands. Crimson essence chi covered his palms. Su-Yi circulated the Origin Supreme technique to the extreme. Stepping on the profound handle, he pulled back his palms and suddenly pushed them forward. An unparalleled aura pushed towards the Origin Sovereign's palm like a raging sea. How can he be so strong? The pupils of the Origin Emperor shrunk as he felt a chill run down his spine. Before he could react, a surge of vigorous yuan qi spread from his hand to his limbs and bones. Bang! The Origin Emperor expert was sent flying like a ragged sack, crashing into the giant tree behind him. The giant tree snapped in half. Dust flew into the air as the giant tree snapped in half. The sects that were close to it fled one after another. The collapsed giant tree smashed a huge crater in the ground, so deep that the bottom could not be seen. The wind around Su Yi's body gradually dissipated, and his vital qi stopped moving. Su Yi did not move a single step from where he stood. Su Yi circulated the supreme art of origin and guided the chaotic spirit qi in his body to gradually stabilize. Divine light rippled. In the blue cloud hall, some of the second-rate forces were dumbfounded. Only when the giant tree collapsed did they react. Is Su Yi a freak? He can fight with an origin sovereign realm expert so effortlessly. He is much stronger than the rumors. Many second-rate experts nodded and looked at Su Yi with admiration. On Su Yi's side, Merciless West, Green Emperor, and the others were not surprised. They were calm and did not have any reaction. But Sure Susu's eyes began to dim. He has surpassed me by too much. Sure Susu, as a genius of the younger generation in the Green Cloud Hall, had to admit that Su Yi was unimaginably strong. Luan Shua's face turned black when he saw that his last life-saving straw had fallen. He staggered and fell to the ground. Su Yi withdrew his essence qi and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He walked towards Luan Shua with cold eyes. Looking at Su Yi's murderous figure, Luan Shua's limbs were powerless. He kept kicking the soil under his feet. He was covered in dirt and looked miserable. "Don't come over, don't come over!" Luan Shua shouted himself hoarse. The fear of death gradually surged in his heart. Su Yi frowned and looked at Luan Shua with a cold face. "Tyrannical, disregarding human life, don't you know who you are? Do you really think that the four seas are your home?" Su Yi's expression was cold as he looked down at Luan Shua, who was lying limp on the ground. "I was wrong, Su Yi, no, sect leader Su. I was wrong. I was a dog that bullied others with its master's power. Please don't kill me." Luan Shua was already scared, crying bitterly, prostrating himself on the ground and kowtowing continuously. "Sect leader Su, I can give you whatever you want." Luan Shua immediately took out his space bag and handed it to Su Yi with trembling hands. Then, Luan Shua crawled to Su Yi's side and took out 2 space bags, handing them to Su Yi. Luan Shua lowered his head and forced a smile from his painful face. He said to Su Yi, "Sect leader Su, these are that old man's space bags. I'll give them all to you. Please don't say anything." After he finished speaking, he kept kowtowing. His tears and snot were flying everywhere. He was very different from his heroic appearance when he first arrived. He only begged Su Yi not to kill him. The onlookers looked sideways. The arrogant Crimson Sun sect's young sect leader was actually willing to throw away his sense of shame in order to save his own life. The Origin Emperor who fought with Su Yi just now saw Luan Shua's appearance. Disappointment, pain, and shame appeared in his eyes. A hoarse voice came from his throat. His hands were stained with blood as he pointed in Luan Shua's direction. "Young sect leader, don't," this voice seemed to have reminded Luan Shua. Luan Shua crawled to the Origin Emperor's side and took out 2 more space bags, handing them to Su Yi in fear and trepidation. Why does this Luan Shua have no backbone at all? Humph, his father's face has been completely disgraced by him. What does he mean by the Crimson Sun sect's invincible, cowardly, and cowardly? Even a beast has more backbone than him. Insults and disdain continuously entered Luan Shua's ears. Shame made his face flush red. Tears flowed from his tiger-like eyes. He couldn't wait to bury his head in the ground. Su Yi took the space bags and activated the Origin Supreme technique. The space bags of the Origin Ancestor and Origin Emperor were indeed abundant. He was very satisfied and kept them. Seeing Luan Shua's originally dignified face wag his tail and beg for mercy in order to live, Su Yi's gaze turned gloomy. There was only a trace of disdain left between his brows. Big brother, help treat that Origin Emperor. Su-yi turned around and said to Merciless West. Shi Wuqing nodded. Although he had blocked a palm strike for Luan Shuo, he was still proud and unyielding, which was really admirable. Merciless West leaped and came to the side of the giant tree. She passed her energy through her hands and slowly treated the Origin Emperor. Wei Hong nodded his head slightly. The rapid rise of the Bawang sect was inseparable from Su Yi's charisma as a leader. Not only did he have many mysteries, but Su Yi's character was also the main reason why so many experts had gathered around him. Luan Shuo saw Merciless West treating the Origin Emperor and was delighted. He thought that he had escaped a calamity. Su Yi's gaze was deep as he looked coldly at Luan Shuo. He said softly, "The disciples who opened the path were protecting the Crimson Sun sect until their death. The disciples who guarded the path were still protecting you until the last second. Bai Shuzi and the other elders were all fighting for you." Chapter 1355. Wagging your tail and begging for mercy is one thing, but for your own life, you don't hesitate to use them as bargaining chips. Su Yi's gaze was like lightning, as if he was in a superior position, looking down at Luan Shuo, his eyes full of disdain. Second-rate force? Just like this? Heartless, sanctimonious. To think you're in the top tier. Su Yi sneered. At this time, Luan Shuo was trembling like a sieve. Every word of Su Yi was like a sharp awl that pierced his heart. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yi raised his right hand high. Yuan Qi suddenly appeared on his palm, and a fiery red Yuan Qi attribute burst out. Waves of fire danced, and the red tongue of fire rotated above Luan Shuo's head. His right palm was as sharp as a blade, and his Yuan Qi formed a long blade of light. Under the blade of light, a strong wind swept, and the blazing flames spread. It was hot and fierce, causing the surrounding air to ripple. Luan Shuo's battered and exhausted face was full of fear and panic. His face was ashen, and there were water stains under his pants. The sound choked in his throat seemed to have forgotten to come out. Luan Shuo's eyes were occupied by the red light in front of him. His hands were constantly waving in the air, and his face was as pale as paper. Hiss! Su Yi's hair fluttered behind him again, and his Yuan Qi flowed freely in his wide meridians. The blade of light that was raised high above his head suddenly slashed down under Su Yi's cold gaze. The blade of light was monstrous, and a strong wind swept through the world. It was like a blade of destruction, splitting the trees in front of it into two halves. Rocks exploded, trees turned yellow, and gravel surged. It was earth-shaking. Before the blade of light fell on his head, Luan Shuo closed his eyes and cried. His legs were trembling like a pendulum. Don't kill me! Luan Shuo let out a blood-sobbing scream that resounded through the forest and shook the sky. Although this Luan Shuo is trash, he is still the son of the sect leader. Now that the Bawang sect is recovering and rising, this kid won't really kill him, right? Merciless West had a solemn expression on his face. He was afraid that Su Yi would do something rash. Qi La. Luan Shuo's hair was blown into a mess by the wind. Just as the fiery red blade was about to land on Luan Shuo's head, an icy blue Yuan Qi pillar suddenly appeared in the air. The icy blue Yuan Qi and the fire-attributed Yuan Qi collided in the air, creating a huge shockwave. A ferocious and domineering aura and a deafening sonic boom erupted from the low altitude. Break! Su Yi bellowed, his heart filled with pride. The primordial qi of the great void divine sea in his body surged like a raging river, extending the fiery red blade radiance several feet long. The fiery red saber radiance shone brightly, sweeping in all directions and violently sweeping across the void. Qi La. The icy blue blade radiance became stronger and stronger. When it came into contact with the saber radiance, it climbed up the saber radiance like a living creature and gradually enveloped the saber radiance. The saber radiance went from bright to dim, and finally, it gradually disappeared. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the battle between the two rays of light. Their hearts were immersed in shock, and they all looked in the direction where the icy blue blade radiance came from. An expert. Su Yi's brows sank and he glanced sideways. From the corner of his eyes, he saw a group of people flying over. The icy blue blade radiance was flying over from that direction. At this time, Luan Shuo was completely stunned by Su Yi's aura. His eyes were lifeless, as if he had lost his life. He was like a walking corpse, and he felt as if his soul had already ascended to heaven. "Who is it?" Elder Wei Hong raised his eyebrows and asked softly. "Su Yi is too strong. That streak of Yuan Qi just now was even stronger. It could actually block Su Yi's attack." On the other side, an old man with a sage-like demeanor exclaimed in admiration. He was a law enforcement elder from another second-rate force. "It's him." The old man's eyes shone brightly. Everyone followed the old man's gaze. Several uniformed disciples of the 9 Stars Valley landed steadily on the ground. They looked at Su Yi with solemn eyes. An elegant and handsome man slowly walked out from the group of cultivators. However, every step he took left a shallow footprint on the ground. Upon closer inspection, the series of watermarks were actually footprints made of ice crystals. Step by step, the ice crystals quickly melted and disappeared into the soil. Nangong Hang. Wei Hong's mind quickly focused. Nangong Hang had been the city lord of 9 Star City for many years, but he had a great reputation among the first-rate forces. No one dared to underestimate his strength, just because he was a junior. Pa pa pa. Nangong Hang clapped his hands 3 times in a row. The corners of his mouth curled up as he laughed loudly at Su Yi. "Lord Su, you're so capable. I have the honor of witnessing your heroic demeanor as soon as I arrive." Su Yi's eyes were clear on his sharp eyebrows. They were as clear as crystal, and the primordial qi in his hands had already been withdrawn. The energy waves that swept across the surroundings gradually calmed down. The great void spirit sea in his body returned to normal. Looking at Luan Shuo's surroundings, the vegetation that was ignited by the blazing aura was burning mercilessly. It was as if red waves of fire were surging, setting off waves after waves. "Finally, you can't hold it in any longer. Have you come out?" Su Yi muttered in his heart, but a faint smile appeared on his face. He cupped his hands and said, "City Lord Nangong, I'm really sorry. I've caused such a mess in your front mountain." Luan Shuo raised his eyes and saw Nangong Hang approaching. His eyes were burning with hope again. His legs were weak as he crawled toward Nangong Hang's direction. "Brother Han, save me. Help me kill Su Yi, this thief. He killed my Red Sun disciples and bullied my Red Sun elders. He won't even let me go." As he spoke, Luan Shuo cried bitterly. He was extremely sad. This brat is quite clever with his sophistry. He deserves to die. Merciless West snorted coldly in his heart. The second-rate forces at the side also began to scold and curse. They were all cheering for Su Yi and the Bawang sect. "City Lord Nangong, you can't be biased. Young sect Master Luan isn't speaking the truth." Some elders and deacons of the second-rate forces spoke up for justice. They heard that the Red Sun sect and the 9 Stars Valley had a close relationship. They wanted to see how Nangong Hang would deal with this conflict. However, Luan Shuo thought that with the relationship between the 9 Stars Valley and the Red Sun sect, Nangong Hang would definitely not let him be bullied. He glared at some of the second-rate forces behind him. Bang! Nangong Hang looked at Luan Shuo's pathetic yet arrogant appearance and frowned slightly. He softly sent a message to the 9 Stars Valley disciple beside him. Under Nangong Hang's signal, the 9 Stars Valley disciple beside him stomped his foot and kicked Luan Shuo to the ground. Ah! Luan Shuo was violently kicked to the ground. He grimaced in pain because of the injuries on his body. He was extremely shocked. Chapter 1356. Nangong Heng looked at Luan Shuo coldly and said in a low voice, "This is the Nine Stars Valley, not your father's Crimson Sun sect. Do you think you can open a path and kill people just because you want to? You want me to save you? Have you ever taken my Nine Stars Valley seriously? If you want to act like a tyrant, go back to your Crimson Sun sect." Luan Shuo's body trembled. Nangong Heng's reaction was unexpected. He immediately turned into ashes and said in a trembling voice, It's all Su Yi's fault for going too far. Brother Heng, do you understand?" Another scream resounded through the entire front mountain. A disciple of the Nine Stars Valley stomped on Luan Shuo's wound with his foot. "Nangong Heng, are you still my cousin? You're helping an outsider to teach me a lesson? Good. Very good. I want to ask little auntie how you act like a tyrant outside." Suddenly, Luan Shuo stared at Nangong Heng as if he had gone mad and screamed. Everyone present was slightly stunned. Luan Shuo and Nangong Heng were actually cousins. No wonder the Crimson Sun sect kept getting closer to the Nine Stars Valley in recent years. The Nine Stars Valley also correspondingly sent large amounts of resources to the Crimson Sun sect, which was why the Crimson Sun sect could rise so quickly. I've said it before. You have to rely on your own abilities outside. Don't use my and the Nine Stars Valley's name to swagger around. Looking at Luan Shuo, Nangong Heng's eyes flickered. His indifferent voice came out of his mouth. "Do you still remember that I'm your cousin? Since we're brothers, I won't punish you because you're heavily injured. However, you hurt my Nine Stars Valley's honored guest, cut off my Nine Stars Valley's path, and destroyed my Nine Stars Valley's front mountain. You can escape death, but you can't escape punishment. Complain? That's great. I want to ask Luan Fengtian, who the southwest border listens to. Who raised such an arrogant person like you who ruined the sect and the Luan clan's reputation?" Nangong Heng's eyes were filled with coldness. Bang! Nangong Heng's palm moved slightly and immediately produced the sound of crystals clanging. A long icicle shot as if it was alive. It shot toward Luan Shuo, who was not far away. The flying icicles carried with them a vast and mighty pressure as they spread out in the air. The temperature plummeted, and the surrounding space seemed to be on the verge of freezing. Amidst the cold atmosphere, the icicles were like dragons, whistling as they smashed towards Luan Shuo's body. An immense pressure enveloped Luan Shuo as ice crystals rapidly wrapped around him. His entire person was rapidly frozen, turning into an ice sculpture. What a powerful water attribute Yuan Qi! Yuan Qi turned into ice so quickly and with such great strength. Su Yi's eyes were slightly shaken. Such a young Origin Emperor realm expert's strength was indeed heaven-defying. The ability to freeze people while talking and laughing made Su Yi secretly shocked. CI. Bang! As the voice fell, the powerful aura sent Luan Shuo flying several feet away. He was thrown into the bushes, no longer moving. Merciless West and all the other powerhouses present had their eyes fixed on Nangong Heng. Su Yi's eyes were slightly cold. Everyone was also dumbfounded. Nangong Heng's sudden move shocked everyone and made them speechless. Merciless West, Impermanence Fairy and the others also frowned as they fell into deep thought. So powerful! Other than the second-rate forces, even the first-rate forces, the Green Cloud Palace, were secretly admiring Nangong Heng's hidden strength. Just as the outside world said, Nangong Heng of the Nine Stars Valley is indeed more powerful than ordinary elders. Wei Hong was already at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm in his 50s. He was an elder in the Green Cloud Palace, and his master was Xie Wushu. His martial arts were unparalleled, and he didn't even put Bai Zun of the Blood Sun sect in his eyes. In the entire Chaos region, he was already a monstrous talent. However, compared to Nangong Heng, Wei Hong admitted that he couldn't be more ordinary. Sure, Su and Qin Yuxing at the side had ugly expressions. The Green Cloud Palace had been regarded as a first-rate force in the Chaos region for many years. They were the future and hope of the Green Cloud Palace. Until Su Yi and Nangong Heng appeared, these two heavenly prides couldn't help but doubt their lives. City Master Nangong glanced at the bushes faintly. A smile quickly appeared on his cold face. Sect Master Su, it's my fault for not disciplining my younger brother well. I hope that Sect Master Su can be magnanimous. After entering the valley, I will properly apologize. Nangong Heng's eyes were sincere and his expression was calm. He didn't take what just happened to heart at all as he spoke to Su Yi seriously. Su Yi shook his head slightly. Nangong Heng could even lay his hands on his own cousin for the sake of justice. Su Yi didn't say anything more. Looking around, Nangong Heng's gaze was as sharp as a hook. It was like streaks of sharp sword qi were spreading in all directions, causing many people's gazes to tremble slightly. Many elders and protectors were shocked. Nangong Heng had easily resolved the grudge just now. Other than having an extraordinary aura, his strength couldn't be underestimated either. This Nangong Heng is much more fair and upright than the useless Luan Shua. The elders of the second-rate forces, such as the Dark Een Gate, praised. Nangong Heng is quite a character. He's strong. Merciless West nodded slightly. She had always heard that Nangong Heng's methods were brilliant. She didn't expect to see his strength today. A 7th-level Origin Emperor in his 30s. Old man, he's much stronger than you were back then. Impermanence Fairy covered her face and laughed secretly. Merciless West raised her eyes to look at Nangong Heng. She opened the wine cap and took a sip. Her expression was slightly serious. The Green Emperor and the Yin Yang Tu Nether even condensed their demon aura slightly, secretly protecting Su Yi. Even at such a distance, they could still feel the incomparably fierce aura hidden under the gentle and elegant appearance. A trace of danger surged in the hearts of the people from the Bawang sect. He's indeed not bad. I'm afraid he's invincible among his peers in the 9 Stars Valley. It's just that he's willing to be a city lord. Merciless West raised her hand and touched her chin. For a first-rate force like the 9-Star Valley, they had many subordinate cities. Normally, the position of city lord would be held by a highly respected elder or a protector who had reached a certain level of cultivation. These people had experience and strength. When their cultivation had reached a certain bottleneck, they wouldn't need to rush to increase their cultivation. Those who still wanted to improve their martial arts would usually choose to go into seclusion to cultivate. Young cultivators like Nangong Heng were at the golden age to break through their cultivation and practice martial arts diligently. Very few people would waste their cultivation time on helping the sect deal with the affairs of the city. The affairs of the city were complicated and complicated. Merciless West found it strange that Nangong Heng had such a cultivation. Her eyes were covered with cold air. Wherever her gaze landed, her aura was incomparably fierce. When Nangong Heng saw Wei Hong and the others from the Blue Cloud Palace, he smiled slightly and greeted them. Chapter 1358. After listening to the introduction, Su Yi slowed down his footsteps and returned to his group. Situ Muyang looked at Su Yi with admiration in his eyes and said softly, "Young martial uncle, big brother Wuqing, you're all so strong. I'm the weakest here." As Situ Muyang spoke, due to the novelty of the 9 Stars Valley, the light in his eyes dimmed a little. Su Yi smiled and said softly, "Muyang, you can work hard and cultivate. At your age, you're definitely a heaven-defying existence. Believe in yourself. The Xinjiang Gate is a first-rate force in the central continent, and you're the young sect master." Yes, I shouldn't belittle myself." In the blink of an eye, Situ Muyang revealed an innocent and confident smile as he whispered to Su Yi. However, young martial uncle, I thought that other than your Bawang sect, there's no good person in the Chaos region. That Mayor Nangong's cultivation is really strong, and he's a good person. He's upright and outspoken, and he's fair in his rewards and punishments, Situ Muyang said as he looked at Nangong Hang with an admiring expression. Su Yi was about to reply when Yin Ming, who was next to him, waved at Situ Muyang with a playful look in her eyes. Situ Muyang saw Yin Ming's methods and immediately moved over timidly. Little brother, come here. Big sister will teach you a lesson. Yin Ming's crescent brows relaxed as she smiled and nodded at Situ Muyang's eyes. Don't look with your eyes. Look with your heart. Look with my heart. Situ Muyang scratched the back of his head and asked in confusion. Kid, let me ask you. When you first came in, did you still feel that little thief Luan Shua's vitality? Also, aren't there a few less experts following behind that Nangong kid? Shi Wuqing said faintly as he walked forward. Only then did Situ Muyang carefully recall that at that time, everyone's focus was on Nangong Hang and Su Yi. After that, he followed Nangong Hang into the valley. At that time, he was so focused on entering the valley that he did not pay attention to the number of experts behind Nangong Hang. Furthermore, even if Luan Shual was sealed in ice, as long as he did not die, his Yuan Qi would still leak out from the ice. Especially for Origin Void Realm experts, their Yuan Qi was thick and dense, and would not be able to conceal it perfectly. Come to think of it, he could no longer sense Luan Shua's aura. Situ Muyang quickly raised his eyes and looked around. There were indeed 2 disciples of the 9-Star Valley behind Nangong Hang. He wrinkled his nose and said softly, Indeed, I didn't sense any aura, and the number of people doesn't seem right either. Could it be that he died and went to collect his corpse? A smile appeared on Merciless West's face, and Impermanence Fairy's bright and beautiful face was also full of smiles. She gently knocked on the back of Situ Muyang's head. He looks very smart, but how can he be so stupid? He was quickly carried away by others. Impermanence Fairy whispered to Situ Muyang. Nangong Muyang seemed to be punishing Luan Shua and sealing him in ice, but in fact, he used his water attribute Yuan Qi and turned it into ice, directly suppressing his injuries and soul temporarily, lest Luan Shua's mind be trapped in fear and unable to extricate himself from it. Situ Muyang's eyes moved slightly. He had seen every word and action of Nangong Hang just now. After careful analysis, it was just as the 2 sisters had said. If this was really Nangong Hang's intention, then it could be said that Nangong Hang was very scheming. Look with your heart. Situ Muyang muttered to himself. Yin Ming's words echoed in Situ Muyang's mind for a long time. After a while, Situ Muyang's eyes flashed. That's right, Nangong Hang had been waiting in the distance from the beginning. His purpose was to test how deep Su Yi's cultivation was. He didn't expect Su Yi to defeat an Origin Emperor so easily, greatly ruining Nangong Hang's plan. If it wasn't for his cousin being too ordinary, Nangong Hang wouldn't have come out so early. After all, Luan Shua was Nangong Hang's cousin. The Crimson Sun sect had secretly become a vassal force of the 9-Star Valley for so many years. Nangong Hang would not watch his despicable cousin die in Su Yi's hands, be it for public or private reasons. As soon as he came out, he naturally couldn't save his cousin in front of everyone's eyes. Nangong Hang could only beat him at his own game. He quickly used a method that looked like a punishment to teach Luan Shua a lesson. He sealed Luan Shua in ice so that Luan Shua wouldn't be able to talk nonsense. It wouldn't be good if he revealed some inside information. This way, he could let others think that he was righteous and merciless. At the same time, he could quickly heal Luan Shua's injuries. Then, while everyone's attention was still on him, he quickly brought people into the valley to give the 9 Stars Valley disciples time to transport Luan Shua and treat the Crimson Sun sect elders. Nangong Hang was speaking so righteously to Junior Martial Uncle just now. What a good show! I was almost fooled. Situ Muyang's eyes were filled with surprise as he spoke. Impermanence Fairy's face was gloomy. She said with rare vigilance, "This means that Nangong is actually a hypocrite. We have to be careful." Even those old fellows were fooled. Of course, a kid like you won't be spared. Impermanence Fairy curled her lips and looked forward. City Lord Nangong, not only is he powerful and just, but he also has the courage to show us the way. He is indeed a hero of the Chaos region. One of the elders of the Xianin sect said excitedly, his saliva flying everywhere. The other young men of the Purple Shadow Tower and the Green Flame sect worship City Lord Nangong even more. Some of the young girls blushed and were extremely shy. They raised their heads to look at Nangong Hang's handsome face from time to time with hearts in their eyes. Situ Muyang raised the tip of his nose in disdain. This time, he followed Junior Martial Uncle. Because his cultivation was too low, he wasn't able to help much. Instead, he learned a lot about people from Junior Martial Uncle. He could catch up with the difference in cultivation, but he couldn't learn how to read people's hearts in a day. There was too much for him to learn. Situ Muyang secretly made up his mind. If he stayed by Su Yi's side, he wouldn't be able to help Su Yi and his growth would be too slow. Su Yi was like a huge umbrella over his head. He could only grow faster if he left Su Yi's side. After the 9-Star Valley, it was time to say goodbye. Impermanence and Su Yi's conversation was also heard by his ears. It was exactly the same as what Su Yi was thinking. Looking at the white clouds in the sky, his eyes were cold and resolute. Everyone said to be careful of Qin Yao. Looks like this Nangong isn't easy to deal with. Merciless West, Green Emperor, and the others behind him all had solemn expressions. They all had their own considerations. Rumble, following Nangong's group, they passed through a forest path and heard a faint rumbling sound. After a few more turns, a huge waterfall appeared in front of them. Chapter 1359. The waterfall fell from the blue sky. The rumbling sound of the water was like a magnificent army with thousands of men and horses. The momentum was vigorous and surging violently. It was as if the waterfall had accumulated all its power and was pouring down with an unstoppable momentum, as if it wanted to devour everything beneath it. Crash! The huge waves of water were like flying flowers and broken jade, stirring up bursts of white flowers. The tiny water droplets were like fairies dancing lightly on the rocky shore. Under the illumination of the sun, they were dazzling, rippling waves of water mist and golden rainbows. According to Nangong Hang's introduction, this place was the famous Golden Rainbow Waterfall of the 9 Stars Valley. It was an excellent place to train one's physical strength. Everyone nodded one after another. The 9 Stars Valley was filled with outstanding talents and had a deep foundation. It was reasonable for it to have such a force today. It was unknown how the founder of the 9 Stars sect found this place. It was truly a place with good feng shui. Su Yi pondered inwardly. The Bawang sect was rebuilt from the Feng family village. It was originally a hidden place with good feng shui, but compared to it, it was lacking. In Su Yi's mind, only the spirit ancient village could be compared to it. How could such a place not nurture a young talent like Nangong Hang? It seemed that in the later stages, for the development of the Bawang sect and to be on par with the sacred mountain, he had to find a way to find a place with good feng shui for the Bawang sect to recuperate. Nangong Ningyue's usefulness would be greater. Speaking of the spirit ancient village, Shangguan Shiwei and the other survivors of the spirit ancient village were still with Akatsuki in Azure Water City. There were only 3 years left of the 5-year agreement. He had to protect the spirit ancient village, revive the Tian Yao school, find the successor of the Golden Dragon, and protect the descendants of the Phoenix and Golden Dragon. Who? Su-yi took a deep breath and felt that the burden on his body was too heavy. He didn't have time to talk about the feelings between men and women. His eyes were filled with determination. I hope this trip to the 9 Stars Valley will be fruitful. A real man should be able to move unhindered in the world. Su-yi said softly as if he was cheering for himself. Merciless West was watching Su-yi's every move. Merciless West raised her eyebrows. What's that brat thinking again? I feel like he's been restless recently. Merciless West then passed the flask to Su-yi and pouted. If you can't figure it out, then drink some wine. Su-yi looked at Merciless West and felt a little touched. Sure enough, his big brother understood him very well. He unscrewed the lid of the gourd and drank 2 mouthfuls. A spicy sensation flowed from his throat into his stomach. It was as if his entire body had been ignited in an instant. He was dreaming of the sacred martial arts conference. His blood was boiling, and his fighting spirit was surging. Looking back at the chaotic mountains, the wind is merciless and the rain is not clear, leaving me alone to laugh and sing. There's nothing to be afraid of. Su-yi smiled and said to Merciless West, "Good lad." Merciless West also took the gourd and took a big gulp. What's so good about it? You're acting like a lunatic after drinking wine. Wuchang Fairy sneered. After hearing Wuchang Fairy's words, Merciless West and Su-yi laughed heartily. At this moment, the mountain scenery also became gentle and bright. After half a day, the group finally arrived at a wide valley. In front of the valley, a huge stone tablet stood on the ground. It was engraved with the image of the 9 stars and the moon. Mysterious runes circled on it and 3 big words were clearly visible: Kaiyang Valley. The whole valley was majestic and wide. On both sides of the valley were mountains that reached the sky. High up in the sky was a misty white fog. It was like a picturesque scene. The houses on the mountain peaks were arranged in rows and rows. Looking back at the small mountains in the distance, they were like monstrous waves in a raging sea. After passing the stone tablet, the group entered the valley. There were many houses in the valley. The low and humble curved eaves and the continuous mountains in the distance were very natural and complemented each other. Most of the houses were built against the mountains. There was a large piece of flat land in the middle. The group temporarily gathered in the square. Nangong Heng turned around and said to the group, "This is Kaiyang Valley. The Thunder Sealing Valley ceremony will arrange for the guests to stay here. Every force will live in an independent courtyard. After you've settled in, if you have any needs, just order the attendants. At the same time, the 9 Stars Valley will send an elder to deal with any problems in the valley." After saying that, more than 10 attendants stood at the side and led the various forces to their respective courtyards. Wei Hong, Shang Wangchen, and Shui Yuechan nodded at Su-yi and the others. Under the guidance of the attendants, they left first and went to the courtyards on the mountain. Even the attendants' cultivation is not low. The 9 Stars Valley is far stronger than we imagined. Some of the elders of the second-rate forces sighed. By the time everyone had settled down, the sun was already setting in the west. The setting sun melted gold. The night breeze was accompanied by heavy smoke. The setting sun enveloped the entire Kaiyang Valley in a blood-red color. Su-yi and the others were finally led by Nangong Heng to a large courtyard in the middle of the mountain. After taking a closer look, they saw that all the courtyards were made of wood. Although they were all made of wood, they could faintly feel that they were rich in spiritual qi. Every piece of wood was tightly connected to each other without any gap. It was as if they contained an endless amount of energy. The degree of toughness was much stronger than granite. There were dark silver cloud patterns on the surface of the wood. The entire courtyard was suffused with a smoke-like white light under the golden sky. It was very mysterious. What was the difference between a courtyard like this and an ordinary courtyard? Could it withstand the torment of cultivation? Nangong Heng might have seen through the thoughts of Su-yi and the others. He smiled and explained slowly behind them. Sovereign Su, you can rest assured. Sovereign Su, please take a look. The courtyards of the entire Nine Stars Valley are all like this. They are built using the floating silver wood from the Cloud Continent. The floating silver wood is buried 10,000 meters below the Broken Sword Sea in the Cloud Continent. It has not decayed even after 10,000 years. Nangong Heng channeled his Yuan Qi, and a strong gust of wind immediately rushed toward him. He channeled his Yuan Qi into his palms. As he channeled his spiritual Qi into his palms, another icy blue ribbon shot out from his palms towards the beam in the house like a sharp sword. Boom! A muffled sound came from the house. The dark silver cloud patterns on the wood suddenly shone brightly. The icy blue ribbon hit the wood and quickly absorbed it. The violent impact did not leave a single mark on the wood. It was as if it was new. Nangong Heng looked at the wood and saw the surprised expressions of Su Yi and the others. A proud expression appeared on his face as he explained with a smile. The floating silver wood that was transported back to the Nine Stars Valley was reinforced by the Sex Elixir Elder, using the Sex Secret method several times. Therefore, although the courtyard looked light, it was actually a self-formed small enchantment. It was extremely tough. After the spiritual Qi was sealed, it was difficult for outsiders to enter. No one would know what was going on inside. Su Yi nodded secretly. The Nine Stars Valley was indeed extraordinary. Chapter 1360. The cost of building a courtyard was enough to make people gasp in amazement. Located in the middle of the mountain, from top to bottom, there were about a few hundred courtyards like this in the entire Kaiyang Valley. It was easy to figure out how much manpower and material resources were needed. They had walked for such a long time since they arrived at the valley during the day. It was enough to see how vast and deep Kaiyang Valley was. According to his understanding, Kaiyang Valley was only one of the smaller valleys in the Nine Stars Valley. According to Nangong Heng's introduction, there were 6 more valleys that were bigger than Kaiyang Valley. The others were not much smaller than Kaiyang Valley. In other words, Kaiyang Valley was only the smallest valley in the Nine Stars Valley. Kaiyang Valley alone was enough to make people's jaws drop. How shocking would the treasures in the Nine Stars Valley be? If I take all of these things, the Bawang sect can become a first-class force. An idea gradually formed in his mind. Su Yi dismissed the idea. Entering the Thunder Ceiling Valley was the most important thing. He blurted out a question in his mind. Governor Nangong, why do we have to walk in the valley during the day? It's too tiring. Nangong Heng laughed softly and replied apologetically, as if he already knew that Su Yi would ask such a question. Sect Master Su, there's something you don't know. It's not that I'm neglecting you, but the Nine Stars Valley is arranged according to the 9 stars of the universe. It contains the power of the constellations and forms a large enchantment. The rules of space are also different from the outside world. Outsiders can't enter. If the disciples don't have the guidance of the star record, it's easy for their vitality to be counterattacked. Situ Muyang's sword-like eyebrows were raised and his face was full of displeasure. Are we going to be like this after entering the Nine Stars Valley? Then won't we be at your mercy after entering the Nine Stars Valley? Nangong Heng was startled and couldn't stop laughing. Ha ha ha, little brother, you must be joking. You're all the guests of the Nine Stars Valley. How could you have the intention to harm us? Su Yi also looked back and glared at Situ Muyang, indicating that he shouldn't talk nonsense. The Nine Stars Valley had made complete preparations for the Thunder Ceiling Valley's grand ceremony this time. The valley master of each courtyard had already arranged for an elder of their own sect to receive them. That was because there was a requirement for the number of people entering the Thunder Ceiling Valley, but there was no mandatory requirement for entering the Nine Stars Valley. Thus, it was not easy to calculate the number of people. Nangong Heng also promised that an elder would come over later with the star tokens and distribute them to everyone. With the stellar medallion, he could guide the power of the stars into his body and fuse it with the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Naturally, his external cultivation would be able to use his spiritual chi to his heart's content in the Nine Stars Valley. Little brother, this courtyard is the best place to cultivate, it is even better than the Spirit Treasure Tower. You can cultivate here, it will be twice the result with half the effort. Nangong Heng smiled and looked straight at Situmuyang with his handsome eyes. Situmuyang was embarrassed and didn't say anything. His face and ears were red. Su-yi and the others nodded silently. So that's how it was. It seemed that the Nine Stars Valley was extremely cautious from top to bottom. They had the ambition and boldness of a first-rate force. Although some sects had their own sect-protecting Grand Array, it couldn't compare to the size of the Nine Stars Valley. The entire Nine Stars Valley was both a formation and a place for cultivation. It could both attack and defend, which was rare in the Chaos Field. Seeing that Su-yi was deep in thought, Nangong Heng said softly, "Sect Master Su, please don't take Luan Shua's matter to heart. This time, the Valley Master has given his approval to open the Thunder Sealing Valley." "Mayor Nangong, you're exaggerating. How could my Bawang sect take such a trivial matter to heart? After all, Mayor Nangong has already taught your brother a lesson. I hope your brother will learn from his mistakes and correct them." "Of course, I won't mind." Su-yi stared at Nangong Heng without blinking. Good. That's good." Nangong Heng's eyes flashed and he let out a hollow laugh. Then, Nangong Heng gave a few more instructions to Su-yi and the others. All the visiting forces were arranged to stay in the front mountain of Kaiyang Valley. They could visit each other at will. However, the back mountain of Kaiyang Valley was where the important institutions of the Nine Stars Valley were located. It was best not to walk around the back mountain after midnight to avoid unnecessary dispute. After saying that, he turned around with a gloomy face. He leaped up and walked out of the courtyard like a gust of wind, disappearing into the golden sky. After Nangong Heng left, Merciless West stared at the courtyard that was full of divine splendor and exclaimed, "TSK! Amazing! Merciless West curled her lips and kept rubbing her hands. She carefully observed the floating silver wood and muttered to herself. The Cloud Continent was part of the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean. It was vast and far from the Chaos region. The Cloud Continent was famous for being a dangerous place. The Cloud Continent's Broken Sword Sea was a secret place. Merciless West had been there before and didn't even sink half the distance of 5,000 meters. The Nine Stars Valley actually had someone who could go 10,000 meters deep and retrieve so many floating silver wood from the Cloud Continent. The Nine Stars Valley was so powerful. It was scary to think about how powerful they were. Merciless West raised her eyebrows and looked at Su-yi. She clicked her tongue and said, "Boy, do you know how many spirit stones this wood is worth? Is it more expensive than my mysterious wooden box?" Su-yi asked in disbelief. Su-yi was cheated by the people of the Holy Mountain. He had to bear a huge debt of 1 billion to buy a mysterious wooden box that he couldn't open until now. Now, he was depressed when he thought about it. "No, take a guess. How many nebula spirit mushrooms can it buy?" Merciless West said with a smile on her face. Su-yi clearly remembered that when Su-yi was a pauper, he kept bidding for Merciless West's nebula spirit mushrooms. In the end, he spent a total of 201 3-star essence stones to buy them. Su-yi felt the pinch. 5? Su-yi guessed the middle value and asked anxiously. Merciless West stretched out 3 fingers in the air. "This wood can buy 3 nebula spirit mushrooms," Merciless West said proudly. 20,013 star essence stones. That would be 60,033 3-star essence stones. One 3-star essence stone was equivalent to 10,000 1-star essence stones. Sui exclaimed in shock. 600 million 1-star essence stones. Sui was shocked. This wood was worth 600 million 1-star essence stones. If he didn't find the ore, he didn't know how long it would take to repay the 1 billion 1-star essence stones. He had been busy for so long, but he couldn't even buy 2 pieces of wood from the 9 Stars Valley? Sui couldn't believe it, but he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Sure enough, there was always someone better than you. Compared to the Xinjiang Gate, this place is richer, but it's not that exaggerated. But Situ Muyang thought of a name and immediately shut his mouth, not daring to say another word. Chapter 1362. Merciless West was astonished after hearing that, but she quickly regained her composure. Since you are prepared, Big Brother can rest assured. Little Han and I have broken through the Sky Dragon sect. The 9 Stars Valley can't trap us. Sui immediately felt relieved. Back then, Merciless West was able to escape from the Sky Dragon sect when she was only at the 3rd level of the Origin Emperor realm. Now that she and Sister Han were at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, it wouldn't be difficult for them to escape. After Merciless West finished speaking, she turned to face Situ Muyang. The moonlight shone on Merciless West's body, causing her to feel cold. She spoke with a serious tone. Kid, don't cause trouble for your martial granduncle after you enter. Don't go too deep if you can. Do you understand? This time, it's unusual. You have to be cautious. Situ Muyang immediately agreed. He was already very happy that Sui was willing to bring him into the Thunder Ceiling Valley. Not being a burden to Sui was Situ Muyang's minimum requirement for him. Senior Wuching, don't worry. I won't be a burden to them. Merciless West nodded silently. Situ Muyang was still young, and his strength was invincible among those at the same level. Although he was a little childish and naive, he was still able to distinguish between principles at the crucial moment. That was enough to make people feel relieved. After everyone finished their discussion, they were about to return to their rooms to rest when a sound came from outside the courtyard. Sui gestured for Situ Muyang to open the door. Situ Muyang brought in a skinny man in his 50s. Behind him was a cold and aloof lady in fluttering immortal clothes. They were Elder Wei Hong and Shi Susu from the Green Cloud Hall. Sui raised his eyebrows. He was rather surprised that Wei Hong brought Shi Susu along. Wei Hong's figure was rough, and his voice was also very loud and clear. When he walked into the courtyard, a strong gust of wind suddenly rose up, as if a small tornado had passed by. Dust flew everywhere, and Wei Hong's robes fluttered in the wind, making him look very valiant. Sect Master Su, have you all settled down? Wei Hong called out loudly as he walked. At the same time, he pointed inside the house. Sui, Merciless West, and the others were startled. Wei Hong acted as if he was afraid that no one would know that he had come to the courtyard of the Bawang sect. They immediately understood. Everyone entered the main room together. Sui gestured for the two to sit down. He glanced at Shi Susu. Her eyes were as cold as ice. She stared at the ground coldly, like a fairy who didn't talk to mortals. Sui and Wei Hong sat at the head of the table. To the west sat Merciless West, Impermanence Fairy, and Situ Muyang. To the east sat Shi Susu alone. The Green Emperor and the Yin Yang twins stood guard outside. As soon as he sat down, a solemn expression appeared on his face as he said solemnly, Sect Master Su, have you arranged the 5 spots? Sui smiled helplessly. I've just settled down, and I've already gone through a lot of twists and turns. Wei Hong nodded, but his expression was very gloomy. Sect Master Su, this time, Valley Lord Chen opened the Thunder Ceiling Valley. Boundless Palace and Purple Shadow Tower brought their core disciples from the Golden Rock Secret Realm. Therefore, they must be here to repair the damage to their souls. Wei Hong changed the topic and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was a bright light in his eyes. However, those who didn't bring their personal disciples, such as the Dark Een Gate and the Green Flame Gate, didn't bring their personal disciples. Su-yi was directly swallowed into the Golden Rock secret realm last time. When he came out, he was also on the other side. He didn't have many encounters with these forces. What does Elder Wei mean? Wei Hong's words had a hidden meaning, which confused Su-yi. Sect Master Su, how much do you know about the Thunder Sealing Valley? Wei Hong asked Su-yi directly. Su-yi agreed to Tang Wang's request on his own. Tang Wang returned to the Nine-Star Valley in a hurry, so he didn't ask too much about the Thunder Sealing Valley. In the depths of the Thunder Sealing Valley, it was said that there were too many secrets. The Nine-Star Old Ancestor would come out of seclusion every few days, so he didn't get much information. I'd like to hear the details. Su-yi's eyes were clear. After a short while, Wei Hong spoke slowly. According to the Blue Cloud Hall's understanding, the Thunder Sealing Valley was extremely large and was divided into 3 regions. The 3 regions each formed a world, and the 3 small worlds intersected with each other. There was no lack of space in the small worlds, so it was extremely dangerous. From the outside to the inside, they were the Star Ocean Domain, Sky Thunder Mountain, and the 9-Star Calamity Sea. The 3 small worlds together formed the Thunder Sealing Valley. The Thunder Sealing Valley formed its own boundary and was separated from the real world. The 3 worlds were unheard of. Oh, there's such a magical place? Su-yi listened with interest. Merciless West and Impermanence Fairy's expressions changed slightly. For them, who had traveled all over the 6 continents, 3 continents and 1 ocean, they had never encountered 3 worlds. This was simply unimaginable. The spatial rules inside were extremely complicated. Without absolute strength, forcefully entering the 9-Star Calamity Sea was no different from defying the heavens. Ordinary people in the 9-Star Valley chose to go into seclusion or be punished. They were only required to stay in the Star Ocean Domain and were not allowed to enter the Sky Thunder Mountain or even deeper. It was extremely dangerous inside, with countless strange flowers, strange plants, birds, and divine beasts. Except for the 9-Star Old Ancestors, who started cultivating in the Star Ocean Domain, gradually transitioned to the Sky Thunder Mountain, and finally slowly entered the 9-Star Calamity Sea to comprehend martial arts. Others didn't even need to think about the Thunder Sealing Valley. Moreover, in every small world there might be space cracks, so it was extremely dangerous. Such a dangerous and progressive world was also a kind of progressive cultivation for the 9-Star Valley's old ancestors. Only by going through such a cruel test could they comprehend the heavenly Tao and become a god. Although Su-yi's heart was filled with danger, he calmed down when he thought about the danger in the Golden Rock secret realm. I'm not even afraid of helping little Shuai pass the tribulation. Sky Thunder? Wei Hong was pleasantly surprised when he saw that Su-yi's face didn't change much. He had experienced Su-yi's ability in the secret realm. He had been able to leave safely and obtain the inheritance of the Golden Rock secret realm. Ordinary people couldn't compare with him. Su-yi pointed here and there with a smile on his face. In his heart, he already knew what Wei Hong was thinking. Elder Wei, has the Blue Cloud Hall chosen the 5 candidates this time? Wei Hong nodded slightly. The Blue Cloud Hall had come prepared this time. In addition to Wei Hong, Qin Yuxing, Shi Susu, and Elder Qin Chuan, who was at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm and was around 60 years old. In addition, there was an Origin Ancestor realm expert who had rushed to the 9-Star Valley late at night. Oh? An Origin Ancestor realm expert. Su-yi's eyes lit up. Other than little Shuai Su, who was still unconscious, the Bawang sect didn't even have an Origin Ancestor realm expert. The difference between the Origin Ancestor realm and the Origin Emperor realm was incomparable, even if it was just 1 level. This was because at the origin ancestor realm, one would have the power of an absolute domain and be able to catch a glimpse of the space rules and become the king of one's own domain. The overall strength of the 5 people from the Blue Cloud Hall was far above that of the Bawang sect. Sui pondered for a moment and couldn't make up his mind. The atmosphere was a little cold. Wei Hong didn't know how to say it. He gave Shirsusu, who was beside him, a look and said softly, "You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."